In Kadatsu village, tucked among the endless mountains of the Bardio kingdom, a lazy boy named Zeoris stretches out under the open sky. At 15 he has grown used to a quiet, uneventful life surrounded by nothing but peaks and grassland. A sudden burst of light and sound rushes toward him from behind, catching him completely off guard. He twists out of the way just in time, dodging the attack before it can hit him. Rize, his childhood friend, scolds him for skipping his chores again, worried he'll get himself killed one day if he keeps dodging things so recklessly. Startled once more, he turns to find someone else approaching from behind, sword slung casually over her shoulder. Fam, another childhood friend, teases him for being fully awake now, since her magic clearly did the job of chasing away his drowsiness. The girls remind him of his promise. He agreed to train them in both magic and swordsmanship today, and neither intends to let him forget it. Grateful for his help, Fam thanks him warmly after their practice. Zeoris quietly notes how much progress she's made in such a short time. The training grows tougher, and Fam struggles to keep up, admitting she can barely move anymore. Still, Zeoris pushes her to continue, insisting she can go further if she tries. Fam brushes off Rize's teasing comment, insisting there's nothing unusual going on between them. Later, over tea, Rize brings up something important. Zeoris will soon be leaving for Velchiel, the vocational school in the capital. He confirms he'll be heading out in about 10 days, since the school only accepts students age 15 to 20. Rize realizes that if his training takes a full year, she'll enroll there right as he graduates, and Fam admits she's curious what title he'll receive. The girls guess he'll be given something impressive like Holy Knight or Magic Swordsman, but Zeoris insists he only wants a relaxed, easy job. Fam praises his natural talent, calling him a genius who never needed lessons from anyone. Zeoris brushes off the compliment, saying he has no interest in becoming someone great. Rize argues that his casual attitude toward magic and swordsmanship isn't normal at all. Zeoris explains that he taught himself from books as a child and has kept his skill hidden ever since, wanting to avoid the envy of others. Melina teased that everyone knew Zeolith preferred a quiet life without attention, prompting a light protest from him before he admitted he was grateful the girls kept his magic ability secret. Fam pressed him about continuing their training until his departure, while Rize complained about him being stingy, calling their final session before his big move both a relief and an annoyance. Rize fell silent for a moment, then flashed a playful wink and asked him to send letters once he settled in, promising they would celebrate the news together. Melina urged him to say something in response, breaking the awkward pause with her outburst. 10 days after leaving his village, Zeolith spent 20 more traveling before finally reaching Gilus, the capital city. The scale of the place left him staring in amazement at the crowded streets stretching before him. Walking among the crowd, he noted how packed the capital felt compared to what he was used to, taking in the unfamiliar sights around him. A tattoo caught his eye among the passers-by, identified as a slave mark, just as someone nearby shouted at a slave to move faster. Observing the scene more closely, Zeolith realized how many slaves surrounded him in the capital. Composing himself, he decided to find lodging for the night and prepare for what awaited him the next day, reflecting on how different this city felt from Kadatsu village. At the inn, a man remarked that Zeolith looked suited to become that, hinting he was also headed toward Velchiel. The stranger clarified he meant the slave merchant profession, describing it bluntly as a job for someone with a perv face. Zeolith laughed it off, insisting the man was joking, unable to take the comment seriously. Memories flashed of what a slave merchant truly represented, a profession built on deceiving people into bondage for profit, branded as work for the lowest of scum. Shaking off the unsettling thought, he told himself sleep was needed, dismissing any chance of ever taking that path himself. The next day arrived, and noise filled the hallway as students gathered for the exam. Among the crowd, comments about hating slave merchants and predictions about titles echoed around him. Nyrus Glory introduced herself as the exam officer for Velchiel's enrollment exam, calling for attention. She explained that social status meant nothing inside the school, treating every student equally regardless of noble or royal rank. She demonstrated how to hold the identity card properly during the process. Placing the card into the divine crystal would reveal each student's title once it turned from black to white. She noted students could choose one main title to report even if multiple titles appeared. Nearby, a boy proudly announced he'd received the title Knight, drawing reactions from those around him. A boy congratulated Zeolith on receiving the Knight title, calling it lucky and admitting envy, while Zeolith privately dismissed it as bothersome, insisting his future was already secured through other means. The examiner called for the next student, moving the line forward as Zeolith stepped up holding his card. Nearby, a girl noticed something familiar in the crowd, spotting a striking elf student whose pointed ears and beauty caught the attention of those around her. Introducing himself as Zeoris, 15 years old and from Kadatsu village, he followed instructions to insert his card and place his hand on the divine crystal, his heart pounding as the process began. Tension built silently as the crystal responded, sweat forming on his face while he waited for the result to appear. The first title revealed itself as Hero, granting divine magic and the heavenly sword, a title that had only appeared once in 400 years, held solely by Asha Rubinfirio during the ancient war between humans and demons. Panic set in as he realized how dangerous holding such a title could be. Frustration mixed with dread as he begged for the process to move on, fearing that discovery of this title would bring the church's attention and strip away his freedom entirely. A second title surfaced next, Demon Emperor, the strongest rank among demons, once belonging only to Van Verusta, who had unified the demon clans. Disbelief followed as a third title, Great Sage, appeared, the greatest mage title for elves previously held only by Elsden Fridio, leaving him desperate for something ordinary like plebeian or serf. The fourth title finally emerged as Slave Merchant, granting slavery magic capable of branding others with a slave mark to bind them into servitude. Shock silenced him completely as the weight of everything he had just witnessed sank in. Panic returned instantly, rejecting the merchant title outright as something unacceptable no matter the circumstances. A girl nearby insisted she would never choose a title tied to what an old man had once told her, refusing to believe such a coincidence could be true. Growing impatient, he demanded to move to the next step, describing slave merchant as a rare profession that carried nothing but scorn from others. Struggling to think of an alternative, he insisted nothing else came to mind, though doubt lingered about whether that was truly all his card contained. Overwhelmed thoughts swirled together, weighing hero, demon emperor, great sage, and slave merchant against each other, each option carrying its own danger or shame. A staff member asked whether he had finished, pointing out the crystal had already stopped glowing and reminding him others were waiting behind him to complete their own exams. A senior student explained that many entering students traditionally chose the plebeian title each year, adding there was no shame in selecting it even alongside darker titles like bandit or pirate. Overwhelmed by the decision, he admitted every option seemed to lead toward difficulty regardless of which one he picked. Anxiety crept in as he questioned what exactly he was supposed to do in this situation. Elsewhere, the elf girl declared her chosen title as Slave Merchant, shocking Zeolith as he recognized her as the same beautiful elf he had admired earlier. A tempting thought crossed the elf's mind, considering that choosing Slave Merchant herself would mean standing alongside the beautiful title holder she had just witnessed. Determination settled in as she declared she wouldn't accept any other title regardless of consequence, urging Zeoris not to abandon his own choice out of fleeting emotion, while he protested that they were talking about something as serious as Slave Merchant. Pressure mounted as voices around him pushed him to think carefully, sweat forming as the weight of the decision closed in. Resolve finally broke through as he announced his choice to pick Slave Merchant as well, echoing the same declaration the elf had just made moments before. Velchel's Golden Lion class gathered students from high social standing who received special education reserved for those bearing rare titles like Hero, Knight, or Mage, leaving Zeoris, a mere commoner, out of place as someone called out to him. A girl nearby admitted she always got bullied in that room, explaining how the class existed exclusively for chosen people, while another student sneered at Zeoris, questioning why a commoner would even wander into the wrong classroom. Mockery continued as the girl accused him of abandoning his shame and pride by taking the slave merchant title just to seem important, then criticized his plain clothing, though Zeoris only sighed, having expected this reaction all along. He clarified that choosing slave merchant hadn't come from personal desire, prompting another jab suggesting the title suited a commoner desperate to become someone significant, tension rising as classmates watched the exchange unfold. A sharp voice cut through the room as the elf girl objected, insisting everyone held equal standing there and that shaming a classmate for his title was something to be ashamed of themselves, warning the girl to stop immediately. A heavy, oppressive atmosphere settled over the group as the confrontation intensified between them. The bullying girl doubled down, arguing a slave merchant couldn't possibly stand equal to those bearing noble or knight titles, only for the elf to counter sharply, questioning what exactly her problem was. She pressed further, asking bluntly whether the girl truly believed slave merchant ranked beneath every other title that existed. Flustered, the girl insisted both she and the elf shared the same high status, stammering when challenged directly about whether that comparison actually bothered her. Curiosity turned toward the elf herself, as classmates questioned why someone holding titles like Noble, Knight, and Mage would still choose Slave Merchant as her main title, impressing everyone with how many rare titles she carried. Their homeroom teacher, Nearest Glory, interrupted the tension, warning against unnecessary trouble before introducing herself as the instructor for Ein's class, promising details about other title classes through distributed paperwork. She explained that Velchel operated only morning classes, leaving afternoons free, with holidays granted every 5 days, and mentioned a dormitory exclusive to Golden Lion class students. Reading through the details, Zeoris realized he would still need money despite securing housing, since students had to provide their own food. Nearest reminded everyone to check the paper for tomorrow's gathering time and location regarding dormitory arrangements. The dormitory building appeared impressively large from a distance as class was finally dismissed, marking the end of a long first day. Elsewhere, Riz and Fam reacted with disbelief while drafting letters, refusing to accept that Zioris could have truly become a slave merchant, insisting it had to be a mistake. Standing before the massive dormitory reserved for Golden Lion class students, Zioris marveled at its size. The elf noticed him entering and greeted him warmly, revealing they belonged to the same class as introductions began. She introduced herself as Pelastus Murdy, preferring to be called Patty, and suggested they enter the dormitory together since both planned to stay there. An older dormitory staff member greeted them cheerfully, recognizing them immediately as the newest members joining that year. The dormitory staff member announced she had already assigned rooms, warning them not to complain, confirming she recognized Zioris and the pretty girl beside him as Pelastus. Handing over the keys, she revealed Zioris would stay in room 703 while Pelastus took 704, leaving him pausing as the implication sank in. Realization struck fully as he questioned aloud whether this arrangement truly meant they would be neighbors. Nervous sweat formed as he wondered whether it was really safe for young boys and girls to live side by side without separation. Noticing his unease, the staff member asked what was bothering him, though he brushed it off with an awkward laugh, denying anything was wrong. She reminded him that since Pelastus was a girl, he would be expected to protect her if anything happened, prompting Patty herself to quietly repeat the word girl in disbelief while he agreed to be in her care. Flustered and blushing, Patty stammered her own reply, saying she would rely on him too, just as he burst into the hallway questioning whether being next door was truly acceptable. Inside his new room, he admitted the space felt comfortable and spacious, though something still nagged at him. Standing near the wall separating their rooms, he realized sound traveled clearly from Patty's side. Testing the walls with a shout, he confirmed the soundproofing worked perfectly, then shifted his focus towards securing enrollment, housing, and now the pressing need for money through fast-paying work. At the Adventurers Guild, a bespectacled receptionist greeted him formally as he approached the counter to register. She explained the ranking system spanning F to S, noting that C rank and above required availability for emergencies, while he requested guidance through the registration process. She detailed how completing quests above his rank without qualifying would still grant half rewards, though true promotion required passing a designated test quest. Registration required his identity card along with a small blood sample, information he welcomed since it meant avoiding accidental promotion into emergency response duty. Reviewing his card, she noted his rare slave merchant title, offering him the option to keep it hidden from other adventurers. She shared quietly that her own family's poverty led to her little sister being sold to a slave merchant when she was just 10 years old, marking this as her first encounter with someone holding that title. Anger surfaced as she recalled her sister being only 5 at the time, unaware of the horror awaiting her, gripping a blade tightly while unintentionally pressing it against him. A passerby noticed the tense scene, prompting her immediate apology as she realized she had applied far too much pressure. Composing herself, she offered to teach him the fundamentals of being an adventurer, though he privately noted how suspicious she seemed despite her offer. She pointed out that his recent promotion to E rank still marked him as a novice, while he teased her about assuming he thought she looked suspicious, an accusation she admitted she'd grown used to hearing. A senior asked Elena what she thought about tutoring Zioris, only for Elena to insist her presence wouldn't change much despite her limited knowledge, confident she could still handle guiding a freshly registered adventurer. Startled by the sudden proposal, Elena reacted with surprise as Zioris flatly declined the offer. Melina cautioned against new adventurers working alone, offering to personally vouch for her, while Elena protested that her help came free and questioned why he seemed so hesitant to accept. Determined not to be dismissed so easily, Elena suggested she could simply request the guild to issue a tutoring quest so she could claim it herself, an idea Zioris quickly echoed as his own realization. Laughing at her own cleverness, Elena declared they would officially work together, leaving him protesting that he'd never agreed to any such arrangement. Since the day had already grown late, she proposed meeting again tomorrow, promising her full support, while Melina interjected that refusing a guild-issued quest simply wasn't an option. The next morning arrived with Patty greeting him sleepily, both dressed and ready as he grumbled internally about how troublesome the whole situation had become. Patty asked directly what their class plans were for the day, and Nairis-sensei greeted them warmly, pleased to see both students doing well. Nairis explained that with only 6 months to study at Velchel, normal lectures wouldn't provide enough preparation, especially since slave merchant coursework typically centered around ethics. She revealed her preference for hands-on classes, wanting them to understand the profession through direct, real-life experience rather than theory alone. Excitement crossed her face as she announced their first destination would be a slave auction. The hidden auction gathered slaves from across the world, its location deliberately concealed from ordinary citizens to prevent outside interference, Nyrus reminded him she had mentioned hands-on learning beforehand, though he protested that the announcement still felt sudden and unexpected. She warned him sternly against ever revealing the auction's location to anyone, adding that attendees with sufficient funds could purchase a slave themselves if they wished. Dark consequences awaited anyone who leaked the secret, she warned, describing a fate involving being hunted nationwide and having one's entire life ruined beyond repair. Watching her switch outfits with startling speed, Zioris grew increasingly anxious as she cheerfully announced their departure toward the exciting auction ahead. In a peaceful neighborhood, the group found a private home holding the secret slave auction. They advanced closely. Nyrus guided the group, tapping boldly as her allies watched in silence. A severe-looking man unlatched the entrance partly, studying the visitors with suspicion and sharp attention. The man's look hardened. Lucas developed guarded, silently questioning if this man seemed dangerous or hostile. Suddenly, the strain eased. He grinned kindly, recognizing Nyrus, then agreed to teach her 2 students. Lucas seemed reassured. The man's manner rapidly changed, warmly inviting them inside without hesitation. The owner shared a private entrance beyond the bookshelf, stunning Lucas with the secretive mechanism. Incapable to accompany them, the man appointed Nyrus to bring the pupils into the passage. Nyrus cautioned them of a snare and volatile failsafe might activate if something traveled unexpectedly wrong. With firm assurance, Nyrus guided them further below ground, assuring they would reach the destination shortly. They stepped the sale chamber, tidy and peaceful, where Nyrus showed her ID at reception. A workers' member gave them a booklet showing the current slaves, prompting Lucas to read. Lucas turned across the catalog, amazed to discover 40 slaves registered for sale that day. Nyrus informed them to watch the sale and ask queries openly if they felt uncertain. As the chime sounded, workers named attendees to prepare. The auction was about to officially begin. The initial servant introduced Held murdered his former master, shocking buyers with his criminal past. Regardless the announcer's drive, the crowd slept quiet, unwilling to bid on someone so dangerous. Lucas wondered aloud, if unsold, the man might be criticized to the fatal pits. Nyrus clarified sternly, unsold captives seem sent to work underground, where survival is nearly impossible. Branded a failure, the illegal servant seemed escorted away, unsold and condemned to die. A shy beast-jan girl seemed introduced for sale, her opening bid set at 500,000, to Lucas' amazement. Offers soared. Beast-jan girls brought great worth due to their scarcity and appeal. Marie, a veiled lady, bought the maiden recognized for training slaves into staff. Not reselling, the owner presented the primary highlight, a youthful elf girl, starting at over 1 million gold, though found thieving often. Her looks ignited fierce bidding. Lucas noticed everybody appeared strongly engaged. As proposes hit Sendai million gold, a surprising last offer of Seunli Lion arrived. The victorious buyer, and graceful elf maiden named Pelastus, quietly received congratulatory praise from staff. Lucas seemed shocked. A pupil purchased a servant of her own race for huge money. Pelastus shared. She offered to rescue the elf maiden from bondage, not ownership purposes. She clarified her task and command from her settlement leader to rescue unjustly enslaved elves. Pelastus presented a record of abducted elves and clarified why lawful purchases were her strategy. She selected this area's academy since its closeness to active slave markets aided her mission. The released elf showed deep thanks. Lucas and Pelastus offered her money to come Jan back. Lesson over. Lucas understood servant traders might rescue lives, not just profit. He felt newly inspired. Lucas imagined of House Kadatsu's settlement, hiring captives temporarily, then freeing them after 5 years. Lucas thought on Kadatsu Village's growth goals and understood he'd require more labor support immediately. To finance his aim, Lucas chose to accept association quests despite receiving only partial rewards. At the association, he met an energetic clerk he held completely forgotten about earlier. She eagerly introduced quest choices, believing he seemed ready, but Lucas appeared unimpressed and ungrateful. As she clarified quest kinds, Lucas discovered one, an urgent mission in Kiribito Forest with reward. Lucas spotted something strange in the papers and started looking more carefully through the pile. Following sorting across multiple pages, he finally located the one he had remembered earlier. The chosen quest linked gathering 10 Kaniali foliage from Sunshine Hill, close Kiribito Forest. That clerk complimented his choice. The foliage seemed scarce, precious, and helpful for high potions. Lucas privately revealed his scheme wasn't much wiser than reckless adventurers she often mocked. With assurance and vigor, the clerk affirmed his choice, encouraging him to begin immediately. Lucas stated his initial quest. Though sorry towards Melina, he determined to advance ahead decisively. Lucas and Melina came at Sunshine Hill. Appreciating the gentle wind and serene grassy view, Lucas inspected the conial foliage, understanding they solely developed hidden from sunlight inside thick forest. Melina strongly denied his proposal to attend Koribito Woods, warning it's too dangerous for beginners. Simply next, they spotted haze growing from the forest, something unusual for daytime in that region. Regardless Melina's objects, Lucas persisted they inspect, wishing someone inside might need urgent help or rescue. Lucas proposed dividing duties, yet Melina protested firmly. She didn't trust him going alone. Lucas clarified possible threat and shared his private magic ability, hoping to convince her to agree. Melina seemed instantly amazed by Lucas's strength and courage, quickly shifting into full support mode eagerly. Melina chose to accompany him, providing alternate despite earlier fears about forest danger. They hit the smoky woods border, unintentionally gathering conial leaves while following the trail inward. Lucas moved the shrubs and discovered an odd clear area hidden deep within the woods. Across the foliage, they saw monsters preparing and gathering, clearly a hidden, fully active village. Alarmed, Lucas jerked, warning the monsters. Melina looked, puzzled, yet rapidly understood the growing threat. Melina identified the clues: a goblin settlement, holding advanced types that regular adventurers couldn't easily handle. Among them stood a strong goblin ruler. Melina worried and hurried off to get aid. Melina clarified monsters held no sorcery doubt, though they were physically stronger than normal types. Lucas thanked her for the advice, quietly deciding on a scheme that stunned Melina. He bravely announced he'd victory them all, requesting Melina to aid gather magic stones afterward. Regardless Melina's objection, Lucas pressed quiet and readied for battle, asking her to stay back. Reciting a magic, Lucas released strong sorcery, stunning Melina and terrifying the goblins into chaos. Lucas's sorcery overpowered the monsters immediately. Their forms fell prior they understood what had happened. Melina gasped in doubt. Lucas quietly clarified that black sorcery was rare, but extremely effective. He revealed the assault appeared piercing, yet it was basic magic, useless against the Goblin Queen. Undeterred, Lucas used another magic with assurance, channeling black vigor into a stronger, more focused form. He rushed ahead and hit the Goblin ruler straight, piercing through her defenses with deadly force. The Goblin ruler vanished prior Lucas. He stood quietly, seeing her form disappear entirely. Lucas announced the fight over, telling Melina to collect gems. She shook, overpowered by his strength. Melina, tearful, promised her devotion. She seemed completely amazed by his black sorcery mastery. Lucas humbly minimized his actions, showing his battle log over 200 monsters, including the queen. They returned to the association to explain victory. A clerk greeted them with formal gentle. Melina proudly delivered the quest clarify. The association clerk seemed amazed by their rapid success. She seemed stunned to learn they stepped Koribito Woods, normally limited to D-rank adventurers. Melina quietly shared the fact, presenting a grand sorcery stone to silence any doubts. She clarified that Goblin Settlement encounter and Lucas's victory. The clerk chose to warn leaders. The association chief, Blazer, arrived rapidly, having already heard all and ready to speak directly. Blazer asked evidence of the spoils. Melina anxiously readied to show the sorcery gems. Checking the gems, Blazer affirmed validity. The Queen's Stone proved their hopeless statement seemed actual. Blazer appeared shocked. He no tance anticipated such strength from two beginners against a complete village. Lucas proposed his association badge for evidence. Melina revealed he managed all on himself. The payment reached 18 million gold regardless his rank. Zioki earned a wealth across determination alone. Blazer affirmed the payout and requested if there seemed any grumbling. Lucas rapidly declined politely. With payments in hand, they departed. Workers challenged it, yet Blazer confirmed the regulations clearly. Melina paused, feeling undeserving of payment. The sum surpassed a year's earnings for low levels. Lucas comforted her, her aid and memory counted he wouldn't hold prevailed without her presence. Melina, resolute, swore devotion always. Zioki reddened, requesting her to bottom her tone once more. Zioris walked the peaceful city, reflecting on 10 quiet weeks since the Goblin Queen's defeat. Beyond the association, explorers whispered about a horrific incident involving a brutally dismembered corpse discovery. He heard reports proving the casualty seemed a young girl found near the cheap Kaizentai Inn, disturbed by the killing. Zioris chose to caution Melina and use more caution himself. Prior he might depart, association formal called him in, her tone unusually serious and formal. Zioris seemed presented to Ubenta, the gentle and official deputy of the Adventurers Guild. A higher association officer clarified there is a critical matter, apologizing for the sudden summoning without notice. They challenged Zioris about his location previous evening, thinking him connected to the murdered adventurer case. Zioris clarified he slept in the quarters, another confirmed for his conduct over recent days. Yet puzzled, Zioris requested to depart, unaware of the implication that he might know something private. Zioris stilled in doubt upon catching that Melina, his companion, had been killed yesterday. Stunned and overpowered, Zioris requested answers, incapable to process the devastating information just revealed. He wavered, trying to stay gentle as companions urged him to sit and listen carefully. They clarified Melina died close Kaizentei Inn nearby midnight. Her form discovered in horrific condition. Due to recently giving Melina funds, Zioris had become one of the main killing targets. Zioris dismissed cautions and announced the murderer might pursue him next. Just like they did Melina, resolute and furious, Zioris swore to face the murderer head, and if they dared approach him, he hurried across vacant lanes, wishing his magic could still work before time ran out. Upon arriving the Kaizentei lane, Zioris found the black stain marking Melina's murder site. Holding Faith closely, Zioris used resurrection magic Zeal Crystal, desperately trying to save Melina from death. The magic started, shining faintly. Zioris observed, unsure if everything held truly worked yet. Melina's form slowly rebuilt from glowing specks, her bandaged eyes closed, completely still but intact. Zioris advanced her carefully and requested if she might talk, hoping for any response. Melina moved and challenged fact, amazed to see Zioris and unsure if she seemed alive. Understanding her faintness, Melina worried, yet Zioris clarified the magic was spirit, type under dark classification. Melina clarified the magic solely let her spirit remain briefly. Only Zioris could see her. Zioris agreed revenge, requesting for facts. Melina recalled a man commanded by a mysterious female adventurer. Melina reported her, a bronze, red-haired lady in partial plate. Unfamiliar to local adventurers, understanding moment seemed low. They consented to find an information broker for reliable leads quickly. Zioris hit the nightlife quarter where the dealer worked, uncomfortable as hostesses approached flirtatiously. Zioris stepped the tavern silently, spotting the dealer sitting solo, ready to approach for information. The dealer scolded Zioris's nerve, yet heard. After seeing his determined eyes and confident demeanor, Zioris proposed a vast sum, requesting facts about a particular lady involved in Melina's murder. The dealer affirmed herself Nasha, a infamous lady matching Zioris's description without any room for doubt. Nasha, named the Violent Evil Maiden, seemed infamous for violence and ranked as B-class adventurer. The dealer shared Nasha frequently arrived at Quobar Stadium. A major tournament was scheduled tomorrow. Zioris thanked him, ignoring the broker's grumbling, and chose to sleep until the contest started. The later day, Zioris and Melina came at the Grand Stadium, searching it with determination. Melina chided Zioris for not allowing her remain over. He uneasily explained his cautious decision. Since Nasha liked betting, Zioris proposed visiting the bettor following the tournament to locate her. At the bettor, Zioris scanned the people, wishing to place Nasha or her allies. A man recognized one goon as his assailant. The group followed him into a tight alley. Zioris and Melina tracked carefully, nervous and worn as the matter escalated toward confrontation. Suddenly, Nasha arrived surrounded by her men, assured, intimidating, and simply as described by the broker. Zioris eventually confronted her, gaze open and firm. Uttering her name with clenched determination, Nasha. Nasha addressed Zioris tauntingly. Gentle yet plain, he affirmed he held unfinished business with her. Zioris charged Nasha of murdering Melina close Kaizentei Inn, his gaze blazing with firm resolve. Reports of a killing close Kaizentei bring them to ask the mysterious red-haired woman. She stays quiet as the boy accuses her. His ally looks, rapt and blank. The woman's partners propose murdering the boy. One even quips grimly about sex prior killing. The boy remembers the savage mutilation of a maiden. The lady reveals no regret or worry. Asking the fact, he accuses her of murdering Melina. She admits sternly, lacking pause or remorse. She admits to murdering Melina following seeing her deposit gold, calmly viewing it beneficial. The boy, angry and doubtful, demands reason. Her casual reply solely angers him more, releasing his skill. He casts a magic with strong determination. The lady eventually reveals worry, her henchmen ready to stop him. They mock, misjudging his power, labeling him simply a boy. One attacks boldly to assault. The boy remains gentle, quiet, waiting for the right instant. One goon rushes in boldly, slashing his blade and shouting, aiming directly for the boy. Abrupt blow halts him. The boy counters strongly, stopping the assailant with a savage strike. Surprise moves among the other two. They pause, shocked by the odd shift in strength. The next goon collapses, yelling as his limbs seem shattered by invisible force or skill. Terror explodes. They reject role as the lady stares, asking answers for the sudden chaos. The goon freaks as his form acts against his control, striking his ally in horror. Fear grows. He lowers his blade, pleads for pity, frightened by the force controlling his limbs. The lady comes, shocked by the sight. She demands one reply from the boy. Quietly, the boy explains his sorcery, an advanced black magic that seizes control temporarily. Enraged, she comes her sword and attacks. She warns him not to misjudge her. The lady gasps, stunned by his steady face. Her anger starts looking into terror. She hits, yet he stops the knife. His power overwhelms her, making obvious hurt. Holding her skull, he chants a cold chant. A strong black magic begins to begin. She freaks, feeling something grimmer. He chants extra sounds, casting a spirit, breaking hex upon her. Hurt, she pleads mercy, admits her offense, and frantically offers submission to spare her life. The boy refuses her request, stating revenge. He begins the last stage of the magic. The lady widens her gaze, puzzled. Her spirit looks at herself still form. He quietly explains her spirit seems detached. She shouts, terrified by the strange, permanent realization. As she freaks, he faces towards her form, readying to transplant Melina's soul into it. Smiling, he states his scheme. The lady objects wildly as his choice becomes fact. She breathes in question. The boy breathes quietly as her spirit hovers in silence. She explodes in fear, asking return. He refuses, unmoved by her frantic yelling requests. He explains the fact spirits lacking forms vanish quickly. She realizes her certain finish comes close. Simply as he finishes, his face shifts, hurt hits, and he begins to fall. Perspiring and winded, he drops. A dim glowing encircles the girl's spirit. Something odd seems approaching. The boy awakens in cot, confused. He realizes he is some way back in his chamber. Looking near him, he sees a maiden with animal features peacefully sleeping next to him. A noisy response comes, surprise bursts from inside the building. Shaking the peaceful morning quiet, she wakes calmly, proving she is Melina in Nasha's form. She grumbles about the abrupt ceremony. She explains discovering him fainted and transported him. He queries her fresh beast-like look. She explains her change happened when she took a band hiding Nasha's beastkin identity. Stating herself Nasha currently, she requests him to name her that and make her his servant. Stunned, he listens as she reasons that being his servant provides safety from later dangers. She insists it's secure with him, dreading murder if she serves as an fighter again, reddening. She adds he's accountable. Following all, he set her spirit in this lovely form. Nasha makes a brash proposal. If believed as a servant, she'll assist him eagerly, flustered and overpowered. He agrees hesitantly. Nasha smiles with joy, pleased with his embarrassed agreement. She embraces him closely, stating endless devotion. He freaks, begging for modesty and calm instantly. Pelastus rested silently, healing in cot. Zeurus seemed told to guard her if threat arrived. Catching those remarks once more, Pelastus reddened and stilled, uncertain about her feelings or what to do. She became up gradually, puzzled, considering about Zeurus being bossed around by the bold Nasha. Pelastus heard Zeurus clarify his aim, releasing captives after 5 years helping rebuild the village. Inspired by Zeurus's commitment, Pelastus chose to drive herself further and become truly helpful too. Nasha happily announced herself Zeurus's servant, pulling him towards a merchant to finalize the contract. Zeurus used sorcery to change Nasha's voice, confusing her with odd feline phrases. Nasha boldly selected a place for her servant mark. Zeurus said it lacking pause. Zeurus clarified dorm enrollment process. Nasha consented brightly, agreeing to accompany following his class ended. Pelastus silently observed them nearby, plainly amazed by their sudden closeness and unusual behavior. Zeurus and Nasha met Pelastus in that corridor. He understood the moment seemed awful. Nasha presented herself noisily as Zeurus's servant. Pelastus responded with puzzlement, surprise, and growing annoyance. Yet puzzled, Pelastus paused. Nasha's cheerful welcome didn't aid her understand the uncomfortable matter. Pelastus erupted with doubt, asking if Zeurus held done improper things with Nasha in private. Furious and deceived, Pelastus charged Zeurus of dishonest about his settlement mission and personal intentions. Pelastus pulled her blade. Angry, Zeurus worried, insisting all seemed simply a confusion. Zeurus rapidly clarified the killing event. He said Nasha seemed linked and required safety. Nasha shared secret absence from the assault and revealed causing trouble before she was saved. Pelastus challenged Nasha's reasoning, Doubtful that Zioris proposed extra protection than an official adventurer guild. Doubtful. Pelastis ready to check Nasha herself, asking evidence of her strength and intentions. She announced reasons useless. He stood stunned, unprepared for the stern gravity in her gaze. Lacking pause, she swung her sword down, launching an accurate assault toward his lower body. He evaded barely. Shocked, she aimed him earnestly. Her face slept gentle and entirely composed. She shared her swordsmanship fame, amazed he avoided the blow she believed would land cleanly. He understood she wasn't pretending. Her remarks and assault both proved her abilities seemed true. He begged for recognition following showing his value. She paused, her face torn and unsure. She reddened and confronted him straight, proving nothing wrong held occurred between him and others. Irritated by their continued refusal, she readied a blade while the others panicked and yelled. Following calming down, she departed to see the dorm warden as the group prepared ahead. They talked later goals. Zioris seemed challenged about bringing Nasha to a servant sale occasion. Zioris wanted to accompany the sale, yet his cat-eared companion declined to leave him. Their energetic exchange seemed interrupted when their instructor came and inquisitively questioned the unfamiliar beast girl. The instructor permitted captives to attend, yet rejected Zioris when learning Nasha wasn't permanent. She clarified servant categories. Solely lasting ones could enter auctions, temporal ones served under shifting contracts. Knowing the rule, Nasha believed she couldn't attend since she wasn't registered for purchase. Nasha eagerly decided she simply required to become a lasting slave to join legally. As strain increased, Arya told everybody they'd be delayed if they didn't leave soon. With deal completed, Nasha cheered her acceptance as Arya watched with an ominous dark aura. They hit the site, and his initial servant sale proceeded efficiently without any visible disruptions. He obtained a 16-year-old maiden with cooking skills and a youthful beastkin with trade skills. Following the sale, Nasha complimented him, interested. She requested why he turned a traitor. He clarified his aim to aid his village. She vowed devotion. Once more, with lively style low on money, he intended an association trip. Dreading explaining Nasha's situation to the staff, they came at the association, intending to explain all to Elena before complications appeared. Lucas exhaled deeply, as Melina observed silently, sensing trouble already brewing from his hesitation. Elena's piercing look stilled Lucas, who worried and tried to explain his involvement convincingly. Lucas yelled in annoyance as Melina told him, lying wouldn't task on someone like Elena. Melina revealed Elena's suspicious character, questioning their prior bond while Lucas grew visibly more uncertain. Melina calmly revealed they frequently slept over nearby, confirming how close she and Elena were. Lucas pressed silence about his role in her demise, suggesting a simplified version of the truth. Melina considered Lucas's story change, taking it yet observing the linked soul angle was already complicated. She challenged the reasoning of the matter, especially how the servant part logically fit in. Melina doubted Elena would believe everything. So weak, yet Lucas persisted on using Patty's earlier explanation. Boldly, Melina shared she held an alternate scheme to persuade Elena if needed urgently. When requested for facts, Melina grinned playfully and declined to explain her hidden backup strategy. Stating their scheme finished, Melina and Lucas stepped the association office with dramatic, forced enthusiasm. Elena sat still and displeased, quietly doing her tasks as if expecting their antics. Elena sternly challenged the unknown lady near Lucas, suspicious of her identity and true intentions. Elena told them sternly it had solely been weeks since Melina's supposed tragic death. Repulsed, Elena criticized Lucas for showing another lady so later, blaming it on being a merchant. Melina brightly presented herself as Nasha, Lucas's servant, surprising Elena prior she could process the lie. Lucas worried as Elena centered on Melina's servant's statement, already questioning everything being presented. Furious, Elena charged Lucas of continuing on shamefully and announced slave merchants morally worthless and heartless. Lucas attempted to calm Elena's outrage, yet she criticized the group as cold regardless. Melina eventually stated she understood the actual fact behind the accident, grabbing Elena's immediate attention. Prior revealing everything, Melina requested Elena to pause, stating there seemed important context first. Melina announced that regardless looks, her spirit stayed unchanged. She was truly Melina, inhabiting Nasha's body. She lightly acted like a cat to show herself, making Elena stunned and confused. Elena angrily denied the statement, asking solid evidence beyond mere words or shared possessions. Melina mentioned a secret, Elena's magic hound brute, stunning her with specific, impossible, to-know details. Elena developed doubtful, thinking study, yet Melina insisted she'd answer anything to prove her identity. Elena asked private queries about Melina's traits. Melina replied confidently, naming favorite sweets and dislikes immediately. 2 hours elapsed as Lucas sat quietly, becoming tired from Elena's relentless interrogation and disbelief. Melina shared Elena's private criticisms about the association chief, further confirming her genuine personal knowledge. Elena eventually believed the fact, recognizing Melina's self and emotionally softening after much resistance. With the confusion resolved, Elena asked complete facts on the incident that led to Melina's death. Elena read the explain, understanding Nasha planned the assault with 3C rank adventurers before dying. Regardless knowing the matter, Elena stayed interested about the mysterious figure who bonded Melina's soul unnaturally. Elena challenged Melina's bond to Zioris. Melina clarified it seemed safety due to Nasha's past. Questioned about options, Melina agreed to truth extra if Elena swore absolute secrecy and didn't tell anyone. Elena internally short-circuited from surprise, reddening in shocked quiet at the private truth she just learned. Lucas worried as Melina developed embarrassed, trying to stop him from sharing the awkward reveal. Melina requested Elena for personal aid, mocking her and come back with wishes for romantic fulfillment. As night fell, Lucas and Melina finished matters up, agreeing to come back to Elena soon. Elena rested following they departed. The association chief arrived, mocking her for being oddly chatty. Following citing the brain-dead ogre insult, he announced a pay reduction. Elena said, sorry in terror. Nasha stood prior the closet, closely evaluating outfits for the current outing with Zioris. Following dismissing the initial choice, she picked another dress, yet unsure about her choice. 20 weeks afterward, Nasha and Zioris intended their initial public meal nearby with their companion. As Patty advanced with a cheerful wave, Nasha and Zioris grinned welcoming her look. Nasha stepped ahead boldly in her chosen dress, her help drawing gaze throughout the square. Zioris and Nasha responded in unison, plainly amazed by her look and graceful entrance. Nasha anxiously persisted she'd simply came, hiding the fact she'd sat alone for 30 minutes. Zioris said, sorry uneasily, causing Nasha's companion to jab his side, criticizing his poor word choice. Zioris spotted Nasha's skirt, amazed by the change, causing her to ask if it appeared odd. Reassuringly, Zioris complimented her look, making Nasha smile gently, visibly reassured by his true compliment. They arrived at the restaurant. Learning entry required same-day tickets due to its appeal. Nasha sprinted off happily to secure one, making the companions momentarily amazed and beyond. Seeing her disappear, Marie started feeling sorry for allowing Nasha manage everything alone again. Zioris comforted her gently, reminding Marie it seemed Nasha's self-choice to aid out. As they walked nearby, Marie silently said, sorry for their before confusion involving Nasha's first meeting. Marie confessed she'd attacked Zioris long ago, lacking listening, yet carrying remorse from that instant. Zioris appeared amazed by her worry, as Marie continued clarifying how serious she'd been then. Regardless being alarmed at the moment, Zioris grinned gently, telling her all was fine now, touched by his mercy. Marie silently acknowledged his kindness as they elapsed a fabric vendor nearby. Nearby they walked across the energetic market. Their pace synchronized, a peaceful bond forming between them. Marie paused prior a shelf of odd plush dolls, silently identifying one that found her focus. Zioris teased her gently, amazed that even anyone grave like Patty enjoyed soft, cute matters. Nasha returned alongside tickets for everybody, proudly announcing her victory and urging them to hurry. As they readied to depart, Zioris glanced back at that dolls, something lingering on his mind. Indoors, the bustling restaurant, reserved tables filled rapidly as the group readied to start their meal. The group started ordering food, and Nasha brightly added her preferred grilled goldfish to start. Zioris complimented the place as Marie revealed she'd gladly come back regardless, long lines every day. Alongside plates stacking great, Nasha devoured all with joy, ignoring Zioris's mild scolding about overeating. Nasha accepted a kind compliment as eating, making her gaze sparkle with thanks and amazement. Zioris noticed Marie's rested smile, understanding she seemed eventually enjoying herself after a long time. Marie confessed she notances held near woman friends prior, and Nasha was her very first. Nasha cheered their bond proudly, urging Marie to toast to their becoming friendship lacking pause. As the night finished, Marie thanked them sincerely prior readying to scull off alone. Zioris stopped her, handing above a little plush doll she held admired at the stall. Marie concerned over the cost, yet Zioris laughed gently, refusing to accept any payment. Zioris revealed fault from before, requesting her to accept the doll as repayment and apology. Marie, touched by his honesty and kindness, proposed him one warm and grateful smile. Nasha grinned teasingly as Marie held the doll prior anyone quickly named out to Zioris. A people arrived, people Zioris held released in the prior, now gathered to express thanks. Won stepped ahead, clarifying they arrived today specifically to thank him prior making the village. The maiden thanked Zioris tearfully, agreeing they do their best in rebuilding existence at Kadatsu. Zioris grinned at their thanks. As Nasha beamed proudly prior they hurried off towards departure. The group observed the wagon disappear, certain those released would carry their futures with power. Zioris calmly mentioned finances, joking about needing funds later, as existence would keep continuing forward. Meanwhile, two unknown girls advanced tough expressions, worn clothes and collars implying a fresh challenge seemed beginning. Zira is worried upon identifying Rise and Fam, stunned by their abrupt look and sharp question. Rise and Fam quietly face Zio, their expressions grave, signaling a critical, unresolved issue too. Women block Zio's path, asking replies and questioning why he holds arrives suddenly. Zio explains quietly, reminding them of an overlooked promise, making strain among the group. Zio admits he forgot to send one letter upon arriving in Gillis. Regret apparent that women discuss. Zio's forgetfulness quietly, revealing their journey to Gillis happened weeks ago. Rise struggles with tears, clarifying she sat overly long for letters that no taunts came. Zio queries why his friends assist a lovely stranger, doubt becoming between the group. Tensions rise as accusations fly. Zio requests the women's identities, readying for replies. Pelastus Murdy, a smiling companion from Academy, quietly introduces herself, easing the atmosphere. Childhood friends Fam and Rise seem presented, deepening Zio's bond with the women present. Pelastus Murdy reveals she studies servant trading, surprising Zio and the group silently. Rise demands Zio clarify the servant trader accusation, stunned by his overlooked secret. Zio hesitates, considering whether to truth his title as his allies watch worriedly. Zio requests Nasha for aid, wishing she can make the answer easier to manage. Nasha prepares to talk as the group awaits the fact about Zio's self. Nasha proudly declares herself Zoris's servant, living and serving him until demise assured and brash. Fam comforts a shaken Rise as Zio worries her remarks created the matter worse. Fam repeats the vow of living, resting, and falling nearby. Deepening their personal bond, Rise tries to walk aside, yet Zio quickly halts her, clarifying hidden circumstances. Fam sharply interrupts, condemning any perverted thoughts, asking Zio hear her answer completely. Zio refuses to chase following them, clarifying they require moment. They won't talk later. Nasha smiles, providing to aid Zio when the moment seems right for reconciliation. Zio and Nasha search yet discover no sign of the companions in the city. Nasha queries Zio's memory of their location, hinting at questions about his certainty. Zio reflects on city size and wonders why that group hasn't gone out to eat. Zio wonders if they must trip a news dealer once. More unsure of later steps, a people gathers. Zio requests about the disturbance, learning a fight eased out nearby. Zio requests if others knows where the two girls traveled following making the scene. A bystander explains a mediator grabbed the girls aside to gentle the conflict. Nasha worries about the girls learning mediators earn money by resolving nearby conflicts. Zio decides paying mediators solves problems. He goals to earn extra funds rapidly. He wants to avoid conflicts, recognizing money's importance in resolving nervous situations. Silently, Zio comes at the mediator's headquarters, deciding not to bring Nasha indoors for currently. Zio shouts for Rise and Fam's safety as he enters the home solo indoors. Rise looks resolute, facing the mediators who command the conflict's outcome quietly. Zio notices something alarming as Fam and Rise name out to him rapidly nearby. Fam and Rise shout Zio's name concerned, trying to get his focus indoors. Two mediators ask Fam and Rise's identities, doubtful of their odd help indoors. Two men face Zio, questioning his self with doubt, revealing strain in the chamber. A maiden calls out quickly to Zio, showing worry over a past troubling occasion. Zio clutches a bag of funds, quietly addressing the consequences caused by some nearby girls. That man expresses amazement at Zio's youth, questioning his role as one moneylender. The girls clarify Zio's attempt to lend funds, making puzzlement and terror among them. Zio strongly denies the cruel terms, challenging the idea that forms seem the lone interest. He proposes 300,000 gall to free the girls, asking their instant release from captivity. The men objection, accusing Zio of meddling and denying any wrongdoing in the occasion. One man suddenly grabs his side and hurt, plainly injured throughout the clash. Zio notes that injury caused by one girl's jump, revealing that fight's physical toll. That man clutches his injured side as that suited man requests,
if he's all right. The suited man reveals the injury seems grave and the medical cost control will be great. Zio senses something doubtful about the abrupt injury and queries the men's honesty. That maiden angrily accuses that men of fraud, pointing out the inflated medical fees. The men grow nervous, considering Zio and the suited man seem conspiring against them. Zio proposes to examine the injured arm, trying to assess the fact beyond the hurt. The man refuses, dreading extra hurt, yet Zio understands and prepares to act anyway. Zio commands him to remain yet, signaling a grave and assured move to the injury. The men recognize the magic Zio casts, thinking strong assault sorcery is about to follow. Zio's sorcery bursts on the man, forcing him to cry out in abrupt hurt and surprise. The girls caution Zio he traveled overly distant, yet he insists on checking the injury. The injured man notices something strange about his form, amazed by the abrupt change. Zio points out the man's aged-back hurt holds vanished, showing the magic's effect. The suited man praises Zio's divine sorcery power, amazed by healing lacking reciting spells. Zio proposes the suited man a job with fine pay, clarifying he used healing sorcery. That suited man allows subtracting medical fees from the ransom currently that the wound seems healed. He suggests 400,000 gold for the ransom since no extra treatment seems necessary anymore. Zio realizes the medical fees should currently solely be 100,000 gold, much less than anticipated. The suited man agrees quietly, seemingly conceding the bottom medical fees lacking argument. Zio cancels the deal, requesting complete payment to release the girls, defying their previous terms. Zio seems requested why he grabs so long, greeted by a lady with animal features. The men recognize the lady as a beast, woman, and accuse her of thieving funds. The suited man mocks her brash come, back agreeing to repay the debt with interest. Zio explains the beast. Woman seems his servant and holds amnesia, calming the concerned companion. The men's statement she stole 300,000 gold betting, and they suffered great losses since of her. The suited man proposes a discount if Zio hands over Nasha, yet Zio strongly refuses. The man snaps his fingers, signaling he's disappointed yet readying to escalate the matter. One people alongside weapons approaches, surrounding Zio and his group, signaling imminent conflict. The suited man declares Zio must stay with them, for currently ending the negotiation. One group confronts that protagonist, cautioning consequences await those who oppose their agency's authority. The agency's men prepared to instruct the protagonist, a harsh lesson, raising weapons aggressively. The protagonist and partner stand firm as the attackers fall fainted nearby them suddenly. The agency leader watches in surprise, recognizing the protagonist's surprising strength and power quietly. Another person appears, challenging the protagonist and stating the conflict seems distant from over. The protagonist notes reinforcements arriving, feeling an extra grave opponent holds currently appeared nearby. The agency leader greets the newcomers, clarifying their rapid arrival seemed asked suddenly. The protagonist inspects the newcomer's weapons and sorcery item, analyzing their combat possible closely. The newcomers mock the protagonist's previous victory, questioning his skill to victory them solo. The Bring challenger boldly promises to instruct the protagonist the real meaning of a fight. The challenger embraces the fight, readying to completely commit, drawing his blade with resolve. He suggests continuing beyond, seeking a proper stadium for the upcoming grave fight. The agency leader proposes a game. Victory, 2 opponents to hold the conflict overlooked. That prize involves 3 women who appear nervous. As that stakes of that game rise, that protagonist accepts the challenge, firm to win and prevent losing the 3 women. The challenger demands the fight start immediately, showing eagerness and assurance to the protagonist. That protagonist's partners cheer, urging him not to hold back versus their formidable opponent. The challenger reminds that solely the protagonist's control truly fight, cautioning not to misjudge him. The agency leader admits all seem readied and signals the formal start of the fight. The muscular man attacks aggressively, resolute to blow rapidly, showing strong intensity in battle stance. The younger swordsman skillfully dodges and counters, shattering the opponent's blade with accurate hits. The swordsman sharpens his sword using a sorcery chant, enhancing it quietly for the later assault. The opponent recognizes the magic's holy character, amazed that the swordsman can wield such strength. A woman partner remembers the 2 men as previous advanced adventurers, highlighting their unexpected strength. The muscular man smirks bravely, revealing he knows the younger swordsman and his allies. Both truth their prior as advanced rank explorers, clarifying their intimidating presence and skills. That muscular one admits exile for murdering a fellow S-Rank currently serving as a bodyguard. He acknowledges the younger swordsman's strange combination of sorcery and blade techniques as exceptional. The swordsman quietly denies any special status, labeling personally solely a servant merchant, despite their suspicions.
The muscular man aggressively attacks, slashing his blade rapidly, urging the swordsman to respond rapidly. The swordsman barely stops the angry hits, staying gentle despite the relentless, powerful assault. He casts a flame-based sorcery blade technique to counterattack, surprising his opponent with fire strength. The muscular man revels in the excitement, plainly appreciating the piercing, fast-paced fight challenge. The swordsman explains the sorcery technique might block the assault, questioning the man's blade titles. The women approval the swordsman's abilities and personality, eagerly labeling him a sorcerer and sword king. One lady boasts about knowing his preferences well, showing their close, long-time relationship with him. The swordsman, irritated yet resolute, prepares his blade, readying for the later phase of battle. The muscular man shifts his fighting stance, signaling a strong, fresh plan or assault incoming. The cloaked man predicts the match's finish as the muscular man launches a decisive, odd blow. The muscular man spits a little needle, revealing a private, accurate blade for his assault. That swordsman realizes the previous daggers and stance appeared all distractions leading to this needle. He tries to block the needle with his blade, yet the underhanded assault surprises him. The needle hits, making hurt, forcing the swordsman to react rapidly to the abrupt injury. The swordsman grimaces in hurt as the muscular man comes up with a strong kick. The cloaked man commands a strong fire magic, readying to assault the muscular opponent. The swordsman counters with the identical fire sorcery, canceling out the assault in a clash. The cloaked man seems amazed the swordsman's sorcery matches his self in power. The muscular man sits up, recognizing he seemed hit difficult yet standing. He admits misjudging the opponent and requests his partner to ready for the later move. The muscular man orders his partner to ready their usual aid sorcery for the fight. He casts a strong fire-based physical enhancement magic, surprising his opponent with its power. The swordsman notes this seems the initial moment he's seen such a magic used bodily. The muscular man jumps ahead, enhanced by sorcery, readying to connect a strong punch. He hits difficult, asking another assault as the swordsman reacts anxiously to the increased threat. That muscular man laughs, showing assurance in his enhanced speed and physical capabilities. The swordsman silently analyzes the simple magic-enhancing physical attacks, assessing its effect. He tells the man surrendering seems better, claiming the magic solo won't secure victory. The muscular man shouts a cautioning, agreeing to instruct a harsh lesson following the evaded strike. The swordsman counters with a hymn of the war god, readying his later strong advance. That two fighters clash fists, both concentrating intensely as that fight reaches a critical point. They exchange strong blows, the muscular man wobbling yet standing regardless the punishment. The muscular man spits blood following a difficult punch lands squarely, showing grave damage. Partners watch worriedly as the muscular man collapses, gasping in hurt from the savage fight. The swordsman remains firm and prepared, seeing the defeated opponent fall to the ground. The cloaked man seems stunned, understanding the swordsman defeated Mash with strong, quiet, holy magic. He attempts a frantic assault, yet the swordsman stops rapidly, showing superior speed and skill. Both previous rank explorers stand victorious, surprising their enemies who witness the overwhelming strength. That defeated cloaked man summons Twilight's blood chains, readying to escape. That overwhelming fight chains rise to bind the opponents, making the enemies in doubt as the fight shifts. The swordsman demands his opponents write off their debts as consented following victorious the fight. The cloaked man hesitantly agrees, cautioning them not to resist or face fatal consequences. That defeated foes plead for pity, begging for their people as the chains vanish. That swordsman forbids companions from speaking about the fight or his abilities to outsiders. The cloaked man threatens punishment if the secret leaks, ordering the companions to obey strictly. That group thanks Zio for saving them. The swordsman feels unsure about the actual villain. One lady encourages Zio to share his story about Nasha and his servant trader title. Zio feels pressured not to avoid that topic or trick them alongside incomplete replies. He silently agrees to clarify all afterward. Recognizing the importance of honesty, the site shifts to a gentle setting, readying for Zio's detailed story to start. Zio explains Nasha's spirit seemed attached to a fresh form, her existence remains in danger. That group listens intently, concerned about Nasha's risks and the require for constant safety. Zio apologizes for misunderstandings, agreeing to guard Nasha from harm with their aid. The women ask Zio more about his servant trader title, pressing for extra facts. Zio admits he can't hide the fact always, yet requests them not to react noisily. The women ask Zio about his actual title, suggesting grand names like Sorcery Emperor or Great Sage. They admire Zio, overpowered by that possibility, he holds multiple great titles at once. That women express happiness and affection, mocking Zio as their minds wander alongside admiration. Suddenly, the beast woman loses command, overpowered by her instincts and inner animal character. Zio reacts in surprise as Nasha's abrupt change threatens the gentle instant they shared. Nasha, overpowered by her animal instincts, expresses a powerful desire for children with Zio. Her abrupt outburst shocks everybody, making worry and laughter as they try to gentle her. That girls enjoy staying at Zio's place, feeling comfortable and grateful for that hospitality proposed. They appreciate being closer to Zio, noticing how distinct existence feels compared to prior. Zio informs them of the landlord's awareness as preparations start for heading out to lesson. Zio expresses worry over past events as the landlord's odd response makes the situation tense. He explains their delayed comeback due to an association job, questioning the urgency of that request. Zio explains funds seems required for extra women, making embarrassment and misunderstanding among the group. He clarifies the funds seem specifically for buying captives, which shocks the women present. Rise discusses the great costs linked with purchasing and holding captives at Kadatsu settlement. The girls react anxiously, with one anxiously proving she seemed listening throughout the previous night's talk. Regardless their willingness to aid the settlement, Zio insists his aim seems not slave trading. Zio and the girls ready to depart, agreeing to come back and aid as much as possible. They depart the home and arrive at a grand house, likely the association headquarters. Indoors, they greet Nasha, the association clerk, who recognizes them and welcomes their trip. Zio notices Nasha's warmer attitude since the past event, making the group feel carefully optimistic. Nasha reveals the current job requests from the association, sparking interest in possible duties ahead. That group discusses the association requests, debating high-risk, high-reward missions with careful curiosity. The girls eagerly proposal to assist Zio in earning funds across these challenging missions. Zio realizes their assistance means they command all tag-along throughout the missions. Association formal queries their identities and the legitimacy of their abrupt group help. Zio requests permission for the girls to accompany them, yet the association formal strongly refuses. The association formal queries the girls' status as explorers, questioning their strength despite protests. He demands they register formally and show their abilities prior accompanying Zio on missions. Rise challenges a muscular man to a fight, providing a wager to show their value. The man considers the challenge doubtful yet sees it as a possible proposal for advantage. Following the fight begins. The man shouts for his brother's aid. Amazed by the matter, Zio warns that girls about their lack of combat experience and the require for care. The girls reassure Zio, assured that sorcery control ensures simple victory in any threat. Suddenly, a grand bird-like monster, a cockatrice, appears and alarms the group instantly. Zio mentions the monster seems delicious, yet the companions caution. This seems no time for that. Zio prepares a strong fire magic, identifying the cockatrice as a risky bee. Rank demon animal, Zio realizes the lady held a grudge against him, making him careful of companions. At that association, the girls request permission to accompany Zio on missions, seeking approval. The association formal agrees, yet deducts compensation for a broken desk caused before. The girls seem cautioned to be careful throughout missions. Emphasizing the importance of actual combat, they boldly statement to be as powerful as C-rank explorers, prepared to prove themselves. The cockatrice suddenly attacks Zio, surprising him and forcing the group into instant danger. The maiden runs aside, yelling, begging Zio to rescue her from the monster's assault. Zio urges everybody to keep running and not get found, cautioning about the monster's threat. Following the assault, Zio roasts the defeated cockatrice, praising his self-combat abilities. As they prepared to eat, Zio senses another creature lurking nearby, warning the group. The group comes to smell further into the woods, looking for the source of the scent. Suddenly, one lady warrior and her guards emerge, addressing the group formally as "My Lady." They track the unknown scent to this woods clearing, strain growing among the careful group. A rough man accuses companions of releasing a risky creature, sparking doubt and defensive reactions. The armored lady commands restraint, cautioning against rash acts as she comes her blade decisively. Regardless objects, she insists no innocent's control be harmed, revealing her firm leadership over bandits. The youthful man observes silently, noticing the woman's distinct clothes, questioning about the character of these people. Altina introduces herself as the leader, regretting for her comrades' rude conduct in the nervous group. The youthful man queries their self, noticing their grand numbers and thinking they aren't ordinary adventurers. Altina boldly declares them proud noble thieves, surprising everybody with her brash statement of status. A noisy man aggressively denies their noble status, threatening brutality as another boasts about their group's power. The youthful man debates their real character, as Altina apologizes for their conduct, trying to calm tensions. Regardless the nervous matter, some bandits calmly eat meat, making others frustrated and uneasy. The youthful man hesitantly accepts their statement of noble thieves, though companions stay doubtful and hostile. Altina explains they solely recently turned noble thieves, hinting at a significant backstory beyond the change. She reflects on her prior as a trying fighter, unsure about her later and progress. Following defeating her attackers, she suddenly gained the title Bandit Leader on her association badge. Altina explains she no tants desired to be a bandit yet, currently tries to rehabilitate them. The youthful man queries what noble thieves truly do, puzzled by their woods assembling. Altina reveals they came to the woods to train and stock up on supplies. She vows to punish corrupt nobles, kidnappers, and servant traders lacking pity or humanity. Altina proposes to share meat and aid train the group, showing odd kindness and leadership. The group challenges the youthful man to fight following their leader, seen bossed aside forcefully. Altina processes and strongly, cautioning companions not to harm or provoke the youthful man. The youthful man proposes a deal, requesting their promise not to hurt innocents in exchange for meat. Altina agrees happily, emphasizing their self as noble thieves who won't harm innocents. The youthful man orders Nasha to reduction the meat, surprising everybody by labeling him chief. The playful maiden quips about the youthful man being a fine servant trader, teasing him that bandits draw swords, accusing that group of using meat as a snare or distraction. Altina declares she can execute the servant trader, showing her grave, commanding help. The bandits charge towards Altina as the youthful man anticipates a tough fight ahead. Altina swiftly hits down the attackers, displaying her lethal power and command of the fight. The youthful man warns the fight control escalate and everybody might get earnestly hurt soon. Altina questions the youthful man's statement of being the strongest servant trader alive. She vows to personally train him to arrive the strength of a B-rank warrior. The youthful man dodges, readying for the challenge regardless Altina's abrupt aggressive stance. Altina launches a strong kick, overwhelming the bandits with her odd speed and power. The youthful man disciplines Altina, showing the difference in their strengths throughout their teaching. Altina struggles yet hides her embarrassment and exhaustion, refusing to admit she's overpowered. She reflects on her humiliation. Yet resolute not to appear frail in front of everybody, the youthful man reminds everybody not to judge by titles or look, showing his real purpose. He reveals he turned a servant trader to free captives, surprising the group strongly. That bandits show odd respect and tears over their fallen leader, revealing their deep devotion. Altina apologizes sincerely, clarifying a puzzlement and calming the strain with the group. Bandits' proposal the sleep of their meat, recognizing the youthful man's leadership and fairness. The group cheers for the youthful man, praising his determination to free captives nearby. Altina thanks them kindly, agreeing to remember their kindness and repay the debt of thanks. Youthful man proposes later aid, making the group on surprisingly good terms. Altina feels embarrassed following the piercing teaching and surprising interactions with the youthful man. Regardless embarrassment, she secretly desires to be disciplined by him once more, revealing further emotions. Playful companion senses something odd and requests the youthful man if he feels stern. The group reacts with worry, hinting at an unseen danger or unknown change in atmosphere. The character examines detailed expense papers revealing grand costs, food, daily needs, auctions, and unknown disbursements. Frustrated, he slams the papers down, knowing their current funds cannot cover all the expenses. He processes beyond into a peaceful street, contemplating feasible reasons for the abrupt financial shortage. His companion notices his disturbed face and requests if he seems looking for something important. He explains they've been losing funds rapidly and seems resolute to discover the cause beyond it. The woman companion explains their past grand book buys, mostly about managing captives and finances. That male protagonist reviews some books, learning they study how to increase servant efficiency and settlement wealth. He worries their progress seems funded entirely by his funds, feeling torn about the expenses. They see a well-dressed lady named Zures who praises their successful task completions and requests extra. He requests for a task taking a whole day with fine payout. She considers suitable choices. Zures requests if there seems a problem. He hesitates yet denies any issue. She suggests he's taking adventuring earnestly. Next presents the highest payment quest request available. The quest requires passing a difficult exam. No one holds prevailed so distant. The male character seems flustered as his companion lightly presses him, distracting him. He rapidly accepts the quest with resolve, telling Elena to ready for the challenge.
Zirus gives that protagonist one map and explains that quest involves a client named Pelastus Murdy. He recognizes the client and feels amazed yet denies any problem when requested straight. Zirus understands Pelastus' role, observing her strange bandit suppression request as a private bond. The protagonist queries if she's implying something, yet Zirus denies and covers her face. Suddenly, Elena alerts them the quest seems expiring. They rush out hastily to over it. Patty points out that trial grounds afterward to the Golden Lion Tower. Guiding the group, they discover many people seemingly dead on the ground. Shocked by the apparent massacre, a man explains the people seem merely fainted, cautioning against believing they seem murdered. Patty apologizes, understanding the protagonist and Zirus seem the ones accountable for tapping them out. Patty queries why they seem here. Protagonist says he noticed the request and chose to accompany. Patty warns the quest seems risky, yet she trusts Zirus can successfully finish it. The protagonist boldly boasts about his power, believing he's extra capable than inexperienced explorers. Other fighters challenge him, questioning why he came delayed and asking he accept the trial. Patty defends him, arguing his power negates the require for the trial check. The protagonist accepts the challenge, resolute to show he's worthy and grant Patty's hopes. Patty blushes strongly following the protagonist's assured declaration, visibly overpowered by his remarks and actions. Beyond the castle, armed men demand the lady be gave over, claiming she seems their property. The protagonist carries Patty protectively, asserting that solely he seems worthy of her devotion. Patty shyly clings to him, recognizing his safety and their becoming bond. Patty reacts with surprise as the protagonist states completing the trial, impressing everybody nearby. The protagonist requests for detailed answer of the quest's purpose and their reason for approaching here. Patty reveals their task: hunt human traders and servant traders accountable for enslaving her tribe. The protagonist suggests government aid, yet Patty explains her village distrusts authorities entirely. They confirm goals to depart next day, yet admit lacking detailed memory about their targets or scale. The protagonist feels news seems insufficient and hopes for anyone knowledgeable about these groups to consult. A lady claims to know people familiar with bandit existence, providing precious insider news. Patty, doubtful about arranging meetings, insists they must go out and search for bandits themselves. The group decides to discover people knowledgeable about bandit movements to collect key news rapidly. The male brings questions how to move informants, yet agrees. It's necessary regardless the risks involved. He expresses reluctance to attend shady places yet insists on discovering Altina and her gang quickly. Suddenly, a assured lady appears, addressing him calmly, requesting why he seems in such a hurry. The lady proposes her aid, claiming she might know something helpful, regardless being seen as pathetic. The male bring reflects on the worth of listening to anyone linked strongly to the servant auction. The lady contemplates Patty's request, considering the weight of the matter as quietly drinking tea. The group admits their cooperation, showing mutual belief regardless the strains surrounding their task. Another lady scolds them for acting lacking informing her, emphasizing worry mixed with annoyance. The woman elf explains Patty's motivation to rescue her tribe, clarifying why she turned a traitor. The lady mentions the Crimson Black Panthers, guided by a noble thief named Altina. Making amazement, the male bring quickly requests if she knows Altina, seeking critical news about the thief's self. She admits ignorance about facts yet proposes to draw a map showing careful cooperation. That lady points to a location on the map where they might encounter Altina. Providing guidance, she silently wonders how Altina holds been faring as readying to accept action on the information. They hear Altina struggles alongside health, yet believe she's managing well, easing some worry. The lady warns them not to drive overly difficult and to accept care during their mission. She laughs quietly about that idea of a noble thief leading a gang. Mocking lightly, the group comes at a rough tavern, readying to seek news regardless obvious risks. The cat, girls' excitement grows as they attend. Hopeful about discovering precious aid indoors here, they attend the tavern, amazed by the people regardless catching about the noble thief's reputation. Suddenly, a familiar lady calls out to Zirus, revealing a prior bond between them. She requests if he return for one previous punishment, hinting at unresolved strain between them. She suggests continuing to an extra-secret table to discuss the key reason she sought him. At that table, Zirus explains they discovered her location from a advice to gain her assistance. A patron explains they accepted a message from an instructor, seeking them following the vocational academy. The lady requests if it's about Nils, sensei, revealing connections between the group and their instructor. The lady declares Nils, sensei seems her swordplay chief, surprising everybody with this private fact. Zirus admits misjudging Nils, Sensei, who knows swordplay and frequents the identical tavern frequently. Zioris quips that servant traders act strangely, especially since Nils laughed at his thief leader role. Zioris shifts the topic, requesting for news about servant traders dealing with elf merchandise. The lady admits memory and reveals they intended an assault against the same group recently. The elf happily requests who the lady seems, interested about her identity and role in the group. Zioris introduces Altina, one noble thief leader, and her ally Mildy, who wants to free elves. Mildy slams a map down, providing the crucial news Zioris and his group appeared seeking. They scheme to assault a bandit troop passing across the Kalium Valley early in the daybreak. The group discusses their assault scheme and requests permission to accompany the upcoming coordinated blow. The lady welcomes their participation, agreeing their aid would strengthen the attack's chances of victory. Zioris assigns roles. He clues the front, companions accept center and rear to surround enemies. The scheme focuses on dividing the bandits' focus by attacking from multiple sides simultaneously. They agree on the scheme, assigning prisoner care throughout disorder, readying for coordinated action. The lady pouts yet insists the scheme seems perfect, showing a mix of worry and teasing. Zioris queries her disappointed look regardless her deal, adding glowing humor prior the mission begins. They confirm the location and moment. Kolium Valley, at dawn next day, prepared to execute. Two groups face each other, strain growing as armored fighters ready. Surrounded by a careful crowd, Zioris greets allies observing readiness. A wolf-eared partner yawns, hinting at early daybreak preparation. A strong leader rallies his warriors, eager to fight and show their power and growth. Zioris discusses last preparations to board carriages. Patty holds already came, signaling imminent departure. An elf named Nasha greets Zioris, clarifying the bandits' scheme might suddenly rescue their kin. Zioris worries about funds and attire, yet his companion suggests an extra fundamental problem exists. Nasha explains Zioris seems powerful enough, so heavy safety might not be necessary for this journey. The group comes at the stables. Zioris seems teased for labeling Patty boss affectionately. Nasha laughs, telling Zioris to embrace that boss's title, mocking him to loosen up extra. Nasha anxiously praises Zioris' greatness. Allies react, telling her not to spout random compliments. Zioris' allies admire his charisma. Observing his charm naturally attracts devotion, and Nasha anxiously praises Zioris' greatness. Companions react, telling her not to spout random compliments. That group prepares to depart as carriages arrive, setting course toward Kalium Valley. Zioris sits quietly beyond the stable as a carriage waits, signaling journey's imminent start. Zioris reflects on Altina's victory transforming bandits within noble thieves. One surprising change, Nasha understands that noble thieves aim. Their leader encourages them to live up to it. The leader invites Patty to accompany Crimson Black Panthers, yet she courteously declines the proposal. They arrive at Kalium Valley. Zioris states readiness to depart the carriages and start. The group process out as the carriage halts. The valley seems open and peaceful. Zioris instructs everybody to advance to appointed positions and ready to assault as planned. Patty anxiously entrusts the mission's victory to Zioris, revealing her underlying worry and belief. Zioris and Patty review the scheme closely as Nasha and companions ready quietly nearby. Zioris peeks anxiously from hiding as enemy soldiers move. Strain growing in the foliage, the group reassures Zioris they control guard him. Though he questions their skill to succeed, Zioris notices movement in the distance. The enemy holds eventually came at the valley. Lone leader spots Patty's squad advancing, signaling that imminent clash between both. Patty's squad suddenly begins their assault, surprising everybody with their abrupt and strong advance. Zioris worries Altina hasn't arrived yet. A message reports Patty's abrupt solo charge triggered by a child's tone. Zioris orders reinforcements to aid Patty as agreeing to manage on his self. Bandits fear, questioning if their merchandise seems the attacks pursue and scramble frantically. Injured bandit reveals the boss seems personally linked, showing the gravity of their opponents. Zioris approaches a bandit leader, who queries him. Zioris ignores the danger and attacks firmly. Bandits notice the conflict nearby. Their leader Zioris fights strongly, making disorder in their levels. The bandit leader rallies troops, resolute to show personally to Patty with a savage assault. Patty commands her squad with power and resolve, inspiring her team to fight strongly. She unleashes a fight cry, charging ahead with blade raised, leading her squad aggressively, calls out to one maiden hiding indoors a carriage, urging her to come out. The maiden looks frightened and tearful, shivering indoors the carriage, overpowered by the matter. Patty reassures her fellow kinsmen, agreeing safety and rescue from their captors.
Maiden begins crying, overpowered by relief and faith following catching Patty's words. The maiden runs into Patty's arms, surrounded by companions who share her personal release. Zero's casts Wind Drill Lotus, hitting down 2 enemies, demonstrating his becoming magical strength. Following defeating the bandits here, Zero's goals to aid Patty free the captives. Zero senses something distinct about the later carriage, an uneasy feeling about what's indoors. The bandit boss grumbles about his vast financial losses caused by this chaotic matter. A massive armored person remains later to Nasha, asking to know who take responsibility. The armored person watches carefully as a captive lady sleeps. Zero's looks on concerned and worn. The protagonist faces a towering armored giant holding a praying lady, standing firmly in a rocky landscape. He wonders if that giant seems a titan and targets him as the leader of bandits nearby. His scarce merchandise hold's been destroyed, and he accuses that giant and his group of theft. The giant demands compensation, cautioning the protagonist that he detected their help some way prior confronting them. The giant hits the ground powerfully, readying for fight as the protagonist readies, personally carefully. The maiden rested, fainted, captured, and maintained restrained. For reasons yet unclear to the hero, the boy confronted the brute, identifying his power yet too noticing his heavy, predictable movements. As the brute responded, the boy readied sorcery, regardless cautions, to shift the battle's momentum. Suddenly, the brute seized the maiden, threatening harm unless the boy ceased all magical question. She begged for pity, urging restraint and compassion even in the face of cruelty and threat. The team paused, knowing the hostage created large-scale attacks distant overly risky right now. They checked the carriages, believing safety until one yelled that their comrades seemed yet in fight. That brute tightened his grip on the maiden, forcing the boy into a nervous standoff. He readied his stance, intending to enhance his power and finish it with one blow. Surrounded by partners and dangers, he determined to save the hostage, lacking delivering a killing blow. A giant warrior threatens execution, holding a lady closely, readying to unleash a fatal attack. A boot suddenly leaps ahead from off, panel interrupting the nervous instant with swift intervention. The protagonist hits the warrior's chest straight, catching him off guard and halting the murdering blow. That warrior recoils in hurt, his grip loosens, and the captured lady begins to slip. Released from his grasp, the lady lowers safely, visibly amazed yet unharmed by the fall. The armored enemy wavered back, overpowered by odd power. His mask cracked beneath one savage blow. Zero stood quietly prior the knight's defeated form as the elf lady knelt in relief. Reinforcements arrived. Zeorus affirmed the enemy leader's self and comforted them he sustained no grave wounds. That group talked victory. Captives seemed rescued safely. Yet one warrior paused, hiding odd news. The previous bandits, guided by another brute, confronted them, revealing they held not surrendered yet. That people raised weapons and cheered in triumph, their united effort over the bandit danger. Peace returned, survivors grinned. Zeorus observed silently as allies comforted the rescued with gentle gestures. Lone-veiled lady advanced Zeorus. She bowed courteously, thanking him sincerely for saving her existence. Zeorus recognized that none, he assured her kindly. Comforted, she seemed safe and not harmed. Zeorus presented personally as a servant trader. C. Libby's seemed amazed by his odd moral actions. Zeorus hesitantly asked about her vision, amazed. C. silently heard as he stumbled anxiously. She laughed gently, promising him it seemed fine, simply found off guard by honesty. Opening her stare, C. clarified she might see. Her blindness appeared solely an illusion. She clarified the trade, pretending blindness lets her watch the magical world lacking distraction. Cecia reported seeing magic's color and shining across mana. She sensed people's inner character strongly. Cecia clarified her reason, closing her gaze permitted her to sense pure mana extra plainly. Zeorus understood she might be reading his help. Anxiously, he asked what she perceived. She sensed 4 colors in his mana. 3 seemed piercing, 1 seemed gentle and warm. Zeorus requested silence. Cia agreed to keep it near, questioning about the scarcity of his skill. With hands folded, she silently shared her prior once noble, currently fallen into bondage. Cecia Common her prior once revered as the holy maiden of the Rubenfilio Empire. Zeorus appeared stunned by her confession. He challenged if she really meant she seemed sainted. Panicking, Zeorus attempted distancing personally, suggesting she come back to the church for safety and propriety. She declined solemnly. Her tone soft, she persisted making him wasn't an acceptable option anymore. The saint knelt prior Zeorus, requesting to remain and repay him for saving her. Zeorus challenged her duty to come back she revealed, making the church seem currently hopeless. She seemed summoned by nobility, yet seemed captured prior fulfilling her divine task properly.
Tosei captured children, she sacrificed herself, choosing to become a servant in exchange. As the explain came, partners identified the lady. Her painful fact gradually arrived to glowing. The group sat in quiet, trying to accept the fact she held once been a saint. They challenged why no reports spread. Even abroad, news of one saint's fall should surface. She revealed their ignorance seemed anticipated. The church likely concealed all from the past world. The saint believed the church searched secretly, frequently hiding disgraceful truths beyond their holy fame. She clarified missing clergy seemed branded summoned by God and erased from formal records quietly. She believed herself overlooked, yet he persisted the world would welcome her with clear arms. She shared come, back meant disgrace, branded a heretic, shunned as one who defied divine control. Anger erupted. They scolded the church's hypocrisy, punishing victims to guard its spotless image from blame. Xerus understood her position. He acknowledged her hurt and wouldn't strengthen her back unwillingly. She grinned alongside Faith. Though her prior stayed, he yet welcomed her into their journey. They proposed CA command of the Crimson Black Panthers, wishing her help would bring stability. That group consented. She'd be ideal. Her guidance might temper that chaotic group of warriors. Sia believed humbly, pledging her aid as a previous saint, prepared to start a new path. The team ready to clarify back. Respect appeared shown as alliances deepened alongside Lady Seat. Meanwhile, anyone inspected their papers, questioning why the group transported so many bounties and secrets. The clerk adjusted her glasses and ready to add one last comment to her explain. She seemed amazed by the number of women following him, each plainly loyal and capable. Xerus anxiously explained personally, insisting their cooperation wasn't servitude. That clerk slept indifferent to his excuse. As bounties seemed readied, Xerus requested to talk straight with the mysterious guildmaster in charge. She acknowledged his request, requesting him to pause as she affirmed with the guildmaster. The guildmaster stepped the chamber quietly, welcomed the group, and regretting for the brief delay, he invited them to sleep calmly. The team appeared nearby prior settling into the seats. As companions sat respectfully, Xerus rested. One companion chided him, mindful of that guildmaster's authority. One maiden paused, feeling undeserving as a thief. Xerus comforted her. This appeared her place. The guildmaster reviewed papers aloud, questioning prophets. Xerus clarified noble thieves helped him rescue that captured elves. She identified the armored lady, once a rank fighter, currently rumored among noble thieves. That boy clarified they joined the Crimson Black Panthers, a group of feared previous brigands. Their prior crimes seemed recognized, yet they'd recently helped. He requested amnesty for their actions. The association, formal, laughed sternly, amused by the request, yet ultimately declined to grant forgiveness. He announced the world overly harsh to erase illegal records, anyway of their current conduct. That boy persisted on their redemption, yet the guildmaster dismissed it as unrealistic idealism, challenged to accept responsibility. The boy believed complete liability if they ever committed crimes once. More, the guildmaster spotted an unknown maiden and challenged her help, an unfamiliar adventurer. Like appearance, she quietly presented herself as Seat Lippis, a previous saint of the Ruben Philo Empire. Doubtful, the guildmaster requested identification and an answer, trying to verify herself and motives. Following proving herself, the mood changed. The group said, sorry, amazed by his changed manner. He revealed the association secretly relied on church aid and required guildmasters to be allies. Sia humbly requested for aid, revealing she hadn't understood the guild's state held worsened this much. Moved by her request, Blazer consented to make an exception, if she personally confirmed for them. Blazer cautioned them sternly, asking her safety, as the group gratefully agreed to accept responsibility. As the group rested, they assumed the task finished, yet one task yet remained unfinished. With resolve, the elf lady shared a last request, requesting everyone for one more favor. Pelastus requested the group for aid retrieving her scattered tribesmen from a before-saved task. They consented to aid her completely, yet postponed the trip until the following daybreak. Solo that evening, Pelastus paused by a shut entrance, overwhelmed by anxious, unfinished thoughts. Resolute, she steadied herself, advanced the entrance, and knocked with obvious pause and resolve. A voice responded carefully. Pelastus presented herself, regretting for visiting so delayed at evening. Pelastus stood anxiously as the entrance creaked clear, silently labeling out for Patty. Patty arrived in sleepwear, amazed yet gentle, requesting casually why Pelastus had come. Patty welcomed her indoors kindly. Pelastus seemed stunned to learn they seemed truly family. Indoors, Patty sipped tea and gently requested what brought Pelastus to her chamber tonight.
Reddening, Pelastus paused yet revealed she required advice, unsure how to approach her current problem. Pelastus clarified her request to Zioris and requested Patty for an extra suitable solution. She wanted Patty's insight might clarify matters. Patty bravely consented to share her honest opinion. Patty instantly cautioned her that Zioris seemed bluntly placed, a vast pervert by nature. Regardless the blunt cautioning, Patty chuckled and proposed to show Pelastus something helpful in come. Back, she retrieved an unknown book, handing it carefully to Pelastus as advice in disguise. Pelastus unlatched the book and review aloud, shocked by its suggestive and poetic phrasing. She named it Shameless, yet Patty persisted it teaches expressing thanks past ordinary words. Patty told her that real thanks must consider the other person's emotions and motives. Pelastus understood thanks means nothing, unless the receiver truly understands or appreciates the gesture. Patty clarified the book's origin, revealing its use for mating guidance, causing instant fear from Pelastus. Pelastus paused, worrying she lacked all meaningful to give Zioris as a proper gift. Patty whispered a brash proposal, making Pelastus to fear, overpowered by the shocking implication. Meanwhile, a cat-eared maiden slept soundly as Zioris silently stepped and advanced the bed. He covered her gently, identifying her exhaustion and reflecting quietly on the long day. Zioris shook off odd thoughts, insisting he's a gentleman, simply prior anyone knocked at his entrance. Zioris replied the entrance, puzzled by the knock solely to discover Pelastus standing beyond. She said, sorry for that hour, surprising him with her gravity. He led her indoors inquisitively, seeing her embarrassed face. Zioris requested what seemed bad. She persisted nothing and slept beyond. Pelastus showed sincere thanks, clarifying she arrived to repay him in a meaningful, private way. Anxiously, she requested Zioris to pull the ribbon on her cloak, surprising him entirely. Pelastus took her cloak, revealing lingerie, anxiously readying to express her emotions across action. Zioris worried, embarrassed by the odd sight, unsure how to respond to her plain gesture, puzzled and overpowered. Zioris challenged Patty, unsure why matters held escalated so dramatically and quickly. The cat girl hurried in, covering his gaze, yelling that he shouldn't be seeing everything improper. Pelastus shared she misunderstood matters, believing Zioris would be pleased. That cat girl recognized her unease. As everybody stood shocked, Zioris covered his gaze and requested to know who caused this. He understood fam intended it. She clarified Zioris valued face extra than gifts or look. Pelastus's bashful face seemed framed as the actual payment, her sincerity continuing, everyone silently watching. Prompted to talk, Zioris anxiously tried to discover remarks, unsure how to express his gratitude. Pelastus blurted out her thanks instead, embarrassed yet honest, labeling the instant the complete best. Overpowered by embarrassment, Pelastus fainted. Everybody worried as fam laughed, pleased by the entire outcome. The group walked across a peaceful settlement road, heading towards a remote goal with purpose. They talked their route, proving the elves seemed nearby, looking for a familiar-looking abandoned house. He clarified avoiding focus seemed necessary as other races weren't welcome in larger populated towns. Regardless obvious fatigue, Thea comforted the group she recovered well following getting some proper sleep. As strain faded, the group joked about appreciation, lightening the atmosphere prior doing their journey ahead. Zioris quietly forgot his companion's name. The man anxiously told him, yelling it with embarrassment. That group laughed nearby. Thea teased them, recalling a meal they common throughout a past task. Thea unlatched up. Compared to her prior, their lightheartedness seemed odd yet strongly refreshing. She grinned with determination, agreeing to adjust rapidly and aid Zioris with everything she had. They advanced a familiar home. 2 elf girls saw them instantly and named out joyfully. Patty brightly greeted Zioris at that entrance. Preparations seemed already finished prior they came. Zioris said, sorry for being delayed. That younger elf grinned, and Patty acknowledged his thanks courteously. Pelastus developed nervous, remembering something uneasy. She whispered Patty's name as plainly shaken by prior memories. Reddening, Pelastus attempted to bring up yesterday's event, yet rapidly shifted focus to starting preparations. She invited everybody indoors for dinner. Zioris, distracted by hunger, happily tracked her lacking pause. That group stepped the chamber. Youthful elves welcomed them kindly, showing appreciation alongside bright smiles. Zioris noticed their recovery and requested about returning back. A formal inquiry tracked about the bodyguards. 3 stern elven officials came. Their expressions and posture radiated judgment and unfamiliarity toward the guests. Zioris asked about them. That elder clarified they managed the facility and coordinated recovery actions. The Zoran elf challenged trusting humans. Zioris discovered their attitude stern, unlike what he held anticipated.
The elves charged the group of dishonest. Xerus attempted to mediate prior matters rose more. Palastis clarified them strongly. She told everybody of their sacrifices and chided the elder's prejudice. The elder acknowledged her odd strength, he said. Sorry, clarifying lingering distrust from prior trauma with slavers. Xerus understood their care. He clarified their mismatched gear, an uncomfortable look guided to confusion. That men comforted that elves. They told them their group seemed identified and guild approved as trustworthy. That elder consented cooperation. Xerus's group stood proudly as their sincerity started gaining obvious acceptance. Palastis affirmed for them. The elder said, sorry for misjudging, admitting their response seemed overly harsh. That atmosphere softened. Xerus's partners helped ease strain, joking about looks and miscommunication among the groups. Xerus seemed sorry for pulling them into problems. Thea comforted him of their belief. Thea showed thanks and affection. Yet Patty suddenly burst in, embarrassed and interrupting the instant loudly. Patty developed embarrassed, accusing Thea of seduction and stating her self-chances hopelessly diminished, frustrated yet resolute. Patty seemed gently patted an odd instant that slightly broke her intense focus. She confessed love for Nasha overly. Thea responded alongside wisdom, embracing love lacking exclusivity or possession. Patty revealed puzzlement yet held onto faith, that elves redirected focus towards sharing a proper meal. Xerus grinned leading that way. He proposed they check Nasha's preparing nearby and enjoy dinner. Distant north in Garuda, a lush garden surrounded the royal castle where anyone seemed missing. Continued calls echoed in that garden. A man emerged quietly irritated at the noisy disturbance. A lady came beyond him. Understanding he held been hidden there all along, undisturbed, she named out. Revealing she held come with a obvious purpose and grave face. Varaya met him beyond the courtyard. Admitting she'd slept aside like he instructed prior, she chided him gently for disturbing her plans, as he mentioned critical, confidential news arriving. Uninterested, Varaya brushed him off, saying she couldn't manage extra useless talk at the instant. He persisted the matter seemed grave this moment. Unlike his usual vague and dramatic warnings, hesitantly she consented to hear, cautioning him not to waste her moment again unnecessarily. She stilled as surprising news eased anyone bearing the feared title. Demon Lord Held emerged again. Alarmed, he requested confirmation. As she tried to understand the heavy implication behind those words, she cautioned him, sternly, believing it seemed a joke, yet he affirmed the location seriously. He clarified companions arrived overly hero and great sages all within the identical human kingdom of Baltio. She shared a painful fact: the previous demon lord seemed her brother. Evidence of their bloodline, she shared the title vanished, following her brother's demise, making this come back strongly unsettling news. He introduced classified papers to show it, as she summoned her advisor and review it. With becoming worry, she trusted their advanced magic-based intelligence network, questioning any possibility of false news. Though hesitant about involving elites, she consented to mobilize the Repulsion Corps in careful answer. With urgency in her voice, she ordered every monster available to be sent to Baltio. He cautioned her of war's comeback, yet she welcomed it with an unsettling calmness. She offered complete authorization, allowing him to use their strongest forces though he deemed necessary. Boldly, she said even their most strong troops might easily manage the supposed demon lord. He believed her commands started preparations as she stayed centered, expecting swift and decisive results. Suddenly interrupted, Varaya developed irritated by the soldier's urgency. Today Held already bossed her limits enough. A soldier hurried in, worried. Omar Regent breached the gate and seemed heading straight indoors. Demon King Omar calmly stepped, smiling, boasting how simple it constantly was to visit her. Varaya chided him sternly, reminding him of that non-aggression treaty he continued violating, lacking permission. She denied his proposal sternly, citing power, as he deflected lightly, asking her to marry. That aide cautioned Omar to depart. Strain developed, something risky involving Rui seemed plainly approaching. A violent blow shook the ground as a horned demon lady marched in with strength. Rui, the demon king of Gudido, came, angry with Omar's continued treaty violations. Once more she chided him sternly for making her intervene constantly and disrupting that political balance recklessly. Omar deflected responsibility, suggesting marriage would finish it all. Rui glared, plainly not amused by that. Sorcery flared, disorder spread. She erupted in anger as everybody feared for Varaya's precious garden. Varaya's flower garden rested in ruins. Both demon kings uneasily attempted to downplay that destruction. They started faulting each other. Rui persisted. Omar caused all as he hurled criticisms in come. Back with growing anger, Varaya challenged them sternly.
Her help silenced everybody as strain filled the courtyard. Both rulers instantly retreated, pretending critical matter. Their terror of Varaya outweighed any excuse they held. She exhaled, displeased by the disorder. All this destruction simply for another childish marriage dispute. Varaya stood in quiet, lamenting her ruined garden, recalling serene weeks with her brother. She announced the fresh demon lord irrelevant. None might rival her brother's power or authority. Knowing her thoughts rose, she calmed herself, deciding that conflict might at least bring entertainment. Her aide observed her destruction quietly, wishing the demon lord wasn't aggressive towards their nation resolute. He tight his fist, vowing to finish the task and guard Varaya's fragile peace. In the kingdom of Baltio, the Profession Academy house loomed over the cityscape quietly. Indoors, a maiden rested defeated atop papers, tired following reviewing every document without answers. Sinking further into despair, she whispered questions about herself and the matter, almost giving up. Suddenly, she saw one overlooked detail. A spark of faith returned to her stare. Zeolus and the beastfolk maiden attend a cluttered chamber, greeted by a lady holding documents. They look in puzzlement at that messy floor. Papers seem everywhere. That lady looks unfazed. She rapidly presents one document, ignoring the mess. Zeolus queries if it's one competition sign-up. Zeolus refuses, knowing signing forces participation. The lady quietly pushes him, awaiting his choice lacking worry. She smiles, expressing desire for Zeolus to accompany. He and that maiden demand her reasoning. That beastfolk maiden inspects scattered papers. The instructor hesitates, faulting vague reasons for all Zeolus, and the maiden uncover fact papers, truth, grand gambling debts. Surprise and doubt fill the chamber. Anyway, their reactions. The instructor laughs. She admits carelessly losing all her funds across betting. Zeolus queries her authority. The instructor insists she's yet legitimate, brushing off her irresponsible conduct. She pleads for Zeolus's aid, claiming fighting abilities and requesting aid for her pitiable matter. That instructor explains her scheme. Since Zeolus seems weak-ranked, no one would bet on him. She adds the prize includes money and a workers. Zeolus disapproves of her betting scheme. That instructor backs down, disappointed. The beastfolk maiden reacts, remembering the legendary workers of the spirit. She remembers catching about the workers prior. Zeolus notices her worry and requests about it. The instructor reveals the staff's political past disputed, risky, likely being discarded to avoid national conflict. Zeolith argues that prize seems risky. The instructor deflects, quietly bringing drinks and something else. As tea seems worked, Zeolith grumbles. She reveals another document, requesting for their focus once. More that paper shocks them. It's one high, paying, government-issued request. Zeolith reads it alongside obvious pause. He requests why she holds it. She admits solely advanced explorers receive this kind of task. Zeolith queries her credibility. She claims it is luck. The beastfolk maiden silently observes their odd exchange. That instructor explains that request, demons mysteriously vanished close Gyrus, causing an advanced investigation task. Zeolith hesitates about joining. She assures him experienced explorers control accompany them on the task. Zeolith queries his trustworthiness. The instructor disagrees as Nasha listens closely, lacking interrupting their conversation. Nasha warns Zeolith control be treated as a pawn, given herself higher fighter rank. Zeolith admits it's risky. Nasha requests straight if he's willing to accept the risky request. Zeolith agrees to accept the task. Admitting he's gradually adjusting and inspired by payment, regardless concerns, he insists she's yet his instructor. Nasha volunteers to manage that risky task. Zeolith explains that task might benefit her credit. That instructor realizes she may be competent. She's amazed by his victory. He added one saint to his group beneath Palastus' request. Zeolith freaks at her blunt remarks. She boldly insists his group truly seems simply a harem. That instructor lists all that girls. Zeolith realizes his party really does resemble one harem. Zeolith denies all. Flustered, the instructor laughs, admits mocking, yet looks ahead to his upcoming results. Zeolith enters the association chamber, presenting his recommendation letter to accept a special advanced task. He explains Nasha's rank qualifies them. The clerk approves their enrollment following reviewing their status. That clerk begins clarifying. Nasha suddenly yells, denying emotions and claiming Zeolith seems simply her pawn. The association outlines facts: risky terrain, unsure dangers, and 10 adventurers gathered for the coming survey. They're cautioned of monsters. If one appears, they must manage it solo, even if difficult. Regardless Nasha's fear, Zeolith clues boldly. She objects, saying they're being treated like sacrifices. Zeolith responds alongside determination. He claims heroes seem required currently, prepared to face what's ahead. Nasha melts alongside admiration.
Zeolith thanks that clerk. That clerk notes he manages her surprisingly well. Zeorus reviews a task document as townspeople ready a wagon for the upcoming trader journey. Nasha yawns near Zeorus, both showing clues of fatigue following readying for the day's travel. Zeorus introduces Nasha as today's bring. A trader approaches, showing their names for the trip. That trader advises them about luggage. Zeorus explains they're traveling Shounin, carrying almost no supplies. With a previous check, the trader signals departure. Zeorus reassures Nasha about using sorcery if required. Zeorus seems stunned as a massive travel bag seems dropped, revealing extreme over-preparation indoors. The mage quietly explains that real preparation means considering ahead, especially for unpredictable situations and combat. The armored man justifies the enormous bag, citing accidents, water, food, and later living needs, tools, weapons, and medical supplies spill out. Zeorus admits sorcery usually solves matters extra easily. That maiden scolds her grandfather's overpacking habit, pointing out how it burdens that group constantly. The armored man seems amazed to learn the peaceful mage. Maiden seems a skilled bee. Rank they start thinking Zeorus seems secretly strong, though amazed. When his card shows Rank's status, other explorers whisper about Zeorus, puzzled why anyone of such low rank seems even present. Zeorus admits he is solely tagging along. Nasha joins him, pulling obvious that curtain with curiosity. Their carriage nears rocky terrain. That veteran suggests readying to disembark following a long journey. The mage notes they're the solely woman explorers, urging teamwork for the upcoming task. Nasha cheers happily, resolute to contribute. Meanwhile, preparations past the wagon start in earnest. Zeorus scans the barren connect, puzzled by the lack of obvious clues or landmarks. Nasha explains that Wasteland once housed magical creatures, impressing Zeorus with her environmental secret. Proudly, Nasha claims assurance. That older fighter praises her, placing responsibility on her B-rank experience. The supervisor commands everybody to search the space for any clues of the demon's disappearance. Zeorus searches among rocks, questioning they'll discover everything helpful in such a desolate, scattered terrain. Nasha suggests visiting for footprints. Zeorus detects dim sorcery distant aside. Something comes focused nearby, feeling overlooked as an F-rank. Zeorus backs aside next anyone cloaked suddenly speaks to him. Unknown, smiling man in a tattered cloak mocks Zeorus, his help doubtful and unsettling. Zeorus queries the cloaked man's self as he is ridiculed for being an impatient F-ranker. That man smugly reveals a unknown stone, claiming it holds news related to firebirds. He explains it reeks of firebird urine, showing a past help in the space. Smiling, he proposes to sell that rock for an absurd 50 million guerds. Zeorus refuses angrily. That man insists it might earn association favor and wealth easily. That cloaked man mocks explorers' honor. Zeorus realizes this man isn't trustworthy or noble. Zeorus senses threat strong sorcery approaching. He warns the cloaked man, who seems discovered off guard. One black cloud appears in that sky. The man freaks, requesting where the danger seems. That group looks up in amazement. Nasha and companions freeze as strain rapidly escalates. One frightening swarm of flying beasts approaches. The group seems shocked by the overwhelming danger. One massive army of flying demons suddenly appears in that sky, heading towards the settlement. The protagonist and his companion look in doubt as the monstrous swarm rapidly comes closer. Nearby soldiers fear at the overwhelming power, understanding they seem hopelessly outnumbered and unprepared for fight. A woman warrior objects retreat, cautioning fleeing troops that the swarm control assault the vulnerable Zeorus. Frustrations rise among the group, blame moves rapid, until a youthful leader demands everybody remain calm. That organizer rallies that hesitant group, stating their obligation to fight the oncoming demon swarm. Some yet pause, voicing questions, yet the leader silences, grumbling with sharp words and firm stance. A veteran reminds them they're explorers, not heroes obligated to fight since they believe the task. Companions reconsider retreating, some faith for association payments as others fear losing future payment opportunities. The woman mage process ahead with urgency, labeling everyone's focus as tension still hangs overhead. The group regathers with urgency, feeling danger. One urges retreat, yet companions remain gentle and firm. That veteran insists they fight here, standing firm. Companions, though stunned, start to accept his determination. Lucas acknowledges that situation's danger. The catgirl requests his scheme as demons loom in the distance. He assesses terrain limitations, considers using sorcery, yet worries about harming partners gathered overly carefully nearby. Lucas hides his power, dreading focus. As one F-ranker, no one respects his voice anyway. Lucas realizes something, later responds firmly. Nasha seems puzzled and tries to understand his intent. He grabs her shoulders firmly, readying to act. She's alarmed and unsure what's happening. Lucas declares his scheme to make her a hero, surprising Nasha with the odd statement. Overpowered, Nasha freaks, yelling that she's incapable and plainly frightened by the pressure. Lucas quietly explains the scheme. He'll victory the demons, yet let her accept the credit. Lucas reassures Nasha she'll be complimented as Juris' savior if that scheme succeeds. Encouraged by his remarks, Nasha softens, deciding maybe the idea isn't so awful following all. Lucas publicly praises her abilities, pushing the scheme ahead as companions start believing in her strength. The surrounding explorers cheer Nasha's courage. Unaware it's a bluff, she freaks under the becoming focus. Everybody pledges to accompany Nasha's bring. Trusting her power, she hesitantly agrees, yet reddening with question. Nasha freaks once, more yelling that terror seems natural. The people looks at her, puzzled. Lucas grabs her shoulders, urging courage. He insists she'll become one hero, opening right currently. As demons move rapid, partners beg for orders. Nasha freezes, next realizes there's no moment departed. Yelling with resolve, Nasha commands everybody to retreat. Lucas smiles, allowing her accept that spotlight. Nyasha chants lively, improvised fire sorcery as Lucas prepares secretly beyond her to finish the magic. Nyasha shouts her sorcery dramatically. A vast flame rocket bursts ahead, amplified secretly by Lucas. That blazing assault hits the demon horde straight, setting the battlefield ablaze with overwhelming magical fire. Haze fills that air. The blow moves distant, blanketing all in a dense explosive cloud. Nyasha surprises everybody by refusing to stop. She casts the fire magic once, more 10 extra times. Multiple flame blasts detonate throughout that field. That entire space shakes under Nahasha's abrupt magical assault. That battlefield quiets, that horde seems obliterated. Even that warriors ask if fighting seems necessary. Nasha approaches Lucas with a confused smile, faintly celebrating. She truly pulled it off. Everybody praises Nasha's incredible firepower, believing it's herself. She's overpowered as Lucas plays it cool. The mage maiden pleads Nasha to become her instructor. Nasha anxiously objects yet doesn't failure her. Distant aside, an unknown person named Mewtwo watches the horizon, foreshadowing a greater danger ahead. The commander requests for a status clarify. His subordinate reveals troubling news about Juris' matter. The demon swarms seem destroyed immediately by an unknown power, possibly anyone titled the Demon Emperor. Regardless, the surprising explain, the officer stays gentle. He delegates that matter, believing demons seem inferior. A fresh group of armored scouts seems summoned, an advanced unit ready to inspect and confront. Juris comes at the office, accompanied by an animal maiden. That clerk greets him courteously. They discuss a prior occasion. The clerk seems reassured as Juris downplays his role humbly. One noisy noise interrupts. Everybody faces. The clerk grows anxious as armed men attend the house. Juris senses strain and attempts to depart. Others grabs his arm, halting his casual departure immediately. The clerk halts him quickly. She targets his role seems necessary for the difficulty ahead. Juris tries making yet Elena halts him, insisting the guild's atmosphere yet feels bad. Elena reveals a private deal with the association leader to recall Juris if threat hit. Suddenly, Elena states one plain summons. The association chief specifically asked to see Juris solo. The people reacts with doubt and puzzlement. Elena admits it's an official summon and assigns Nasha, understanding the situation's gravity. Juris comes instructions, heading to see the association master in private. Juris and Nasha sleep quietly. The association chief expresses amazement at their arrival throughout disorder. The association chief orders both Juris and Nasha to accept the summon, regardless their uncertainty. Juris objects, revealing Nasha's low power level and his self-rank status, challenging the choice. Another officer mentions Nasha's sorcery use. They suspect something odd tied to a recommendation letter Juris accepted. The officer confronts Nasha's power, implying. The association chief queries Juris about her abrupt power. The association chief decides to include Juris in the matter, assigning him to assist straight. Doubtful, Juris queries all, and officer claims explorers complimented Nasha's actions throughout their latest assignment. Nasha's fame seemed once poor, yet her past performance rapidly changed public opinion among adventurers. Juris quietly reflects, understanding refusal seems hopeless currently. A black dragon appeared, seen close north fort. That black dragon, alongside a massive demon swarm, caused grave destruction to the north fort. That demons attacked Juris, yet that black dragon vanished. Juris targets it changed directions suddenly. Juris agrees to that task. The association accepts, yet an unknown state seems introduced unexpectedly. Beyond, Nasha queries the odd state. Juris remembers the association leader's response to his request. Nasha seems stunned by Juris's demand they go solo. He tries to gentle her answer. Zioris explains his private sorcery skill and says he acted to guard her fame strategically. Nasha hesitates due to threat, yet Zioris insists they proceed, lacking wasting extra moment. Zioris explains his teleportation skill, limited to recognize locations within sight, surprising Nasha entirely. Excited and proud, Nasha expresses joy at following her chief willingly. Regardless the threat, Zioris instructs her to hold on. Nearby, they ready to teleport to their pursued space. They begin the teleportation magic, releasing strong sorcery as they begin their journey toward the threat. Zioris notes that distance they've traveled. Nasha seems tired, barely standing following continued teleports. Holding one rock, Nasha grumbles dramatically. Zioris watches silently, concerned about her physical strain. Zioris explains their continued teleportation mid-air. He realizes that Black Dragon may yet be ahead. Suddenly, Zioris spots one massive demon approaching rapid. He warns Nasha, believing it's that Black Dragon. That winged monster descends aggressively. Zioris braces for fight, understanding the enemy seems straight above them. Zioris casts a strong fire magic, releasing Frumult Anatuvan, targeting straight at the approaching enemy. The flames blow, yet the dragon stays unharmed. Nasha freaks, understanding the assault failed entirely. As the dragon attacks ahead, Nasha shouts in terror, convinced they seem about to die. That dragon halts and speaks, surprising both. Zioris targets anyone seems directing or riding it. One knight atop the dragon appears, requesting if they know a human named Demon Emperor. A dragon rider approaches the group, asking news about anyone named the Demon Emperor title holder. The armored man hides his real self, deciding to depart following catching the boy's confusion. Simply as the rider faces aside, the boy processes ahead, insisting he has something important. He bravely declares his task to slay the massive dragon standing quietly near its armored chief. Amused, that man praises his courage, revealing the dragon's fearsome fame throughout the kingdom of Garda. A next dragon suddenly appears, causing the armored man to demand the boy's real self. The boy notices extra dragons hold gathered, understanding this clash won't be simple or one-on-one. Elder recognizes that dragons as ancient warriors. The cat girl explains Garda seems ruled by demons. A sorcery beam assault forces the boy to guard the cat girl as tensions rapidly escalate. Kneeling on that ground, he clarifies they're not invaders, solely one scouting party sent ahead. That armored man misinterprets their purpose and prepares to execute them for suspected aggressive intent. The boy assesses their overwhelming enemy forces, understanding he frantically needs a blade to survive. He requests Nasha for her blade, intending to exploit the dragon's vulnerability to physical attacks. Nasha agrees to aid. He focuses readying personally internally as she readies to hand over. In a chaotic mistake, he grabs her chest instead of the sword strapped beyond her. Nasha teases him to draw it personally. That elder decides to eliminate that human rapidly armed with the blade. The boy faces the roaring dragon as it attacks, lacking pause. He begins reciting a strong skill, catching Nasha protectively as she shouts in amazement mid-spell. The dragon reacts to the abrupt magical assault, yet the boy's assault slices with surprising power. He carries Nasha to safety, for currently the space seems momentarily secure from more dangers. That dragon regains footing. That boy's evasion technique surprises everybody, showing enhanced physical abilities. Enraged, that knight commands that dragon to assault. He prepares to finish that brash intruder. Resolute, the boy attacks ahead with blade in hand as the dragon roars and counters fiercely. The knight watches in question as the boy sprints directly, closing distance with fearless precision. He leaps upward with blade raised, targeting for a critical blow against the dragon's exposed skull. His sword hits real, breaking the dragon's skull with precise, overwhelming force and stunning impact. That dragon collapses from deep wounds. The boy remains prepared as vigor surges nearby him. The knight realizes the boy hit a frail point almost immediately, stunned at the abrupt reversal. Both unleash sorcery simultaneously. Lightning smiles collide and explode, disturbing the ground with blinding destructive strength. The knight crashes to the ground, shocked by the blast and incapable to rise instantly. The knight queries the boy's strength, puzzled how a human might wield demon-based sorcery effectively. Lacking answering, the boy knocks him out stern with a tidy, decisive spinning kick to helmet. That knight crashes once more. The fight plainly ends with the boy in total command currently. The boy reveals a private, the Demon Emperor. They've been looking for seems already present. Facing the shocked group, he bravely declares that the Demon Emperor they seek seems personally. One knight urges retreat, fearing the boy's power. Elderma refuses weakness and scorns their pause. Elderma hits a knight mercilessly, labeling him ineffective. The allies watch in terror at his cruelty. He tightens his fist, angry with humanity, showing restraint yet revealing contempt towards weaker partners. Alongside a threatening glare, Elderma delivers a cautioning. He expects results and no extra failure. The knights seem shocked quiet. Elderma's message seems obvious: they must obey or suffer the consequences. Two dragons charge him simultaneously. He freaks temporarily, understanding a 1-on-2 fight seems difficult solo. He casts Binding Sea of Mist, covering that battlefield in dense fog to stall visibility. Enemies stumble within that mist, disoriented. One knight comes his blade yet sees solely shadows. That dragon senses something overly delayed. Abrupt blow pierces its neck with surprising accurate power. Engulfed in flames, the wounded dragon's form explodes violently, releasing magical blaze throughout the battlefield. He admits the dragon's victory, understanding its inner form isn't resistant to internal magical power. As he approaches the next dragon, he notices its rider holds suddenly vanished, lacking a trace. That missing knight surprises him with a tight grapple, activating a frantic scheme for mutual destruction. The knight vows to perish nearby, releasing unstable sorcery as the boy senses overwhelming threat growing. A massive explosion explodes immediately, engulfing both in haze and flame as the screen goes white. She shouts in surprise as her chief collapses, hit down by the armored enemy's ambush. Haze covers that battlefield. She watches helplessly as that enemy mocks the explosion's destructive result. The bearded general assumes victory, stating the human obstacle and his dragon entirely eliminated from fight. Surprisingly living, that boy reappears unharmed. She smiles in relief, understanding he teleported simply in moment. Currently confronting the enemy straight, he challenges the general, readied for a last fight using sorcery.